Chapter 2249. Sima Yue placed her hand on his palm while the two children scattered flowers in front of them. There were endless guests on both sides of the red carpet. The congratulatory voices from below were incessant. Qi Yin took them and flew very slowly, as if he wanted to let the guests take a good look at them. The red carpet took almost half an hour to fly, which was enough to show the length of the red carpet. Thinking about the tables on both sides, she really couldn't guess how many people came to attend the wedding. At the end of the red carpet, Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao landed in front of the stage. Many people were surprised that the little children could fly with pre-control. They could cultivate at such a young age? But the two little children clearly didn't use any spiritual weapons. They were flying by themselves. Everyone knew that Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu had two children. Now that they saw the two children who looked so similar to them, they naturally knew their identity. Wu Lingyu held Sima Yue's hand and walked step by step to the stage, standing between Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao. Her beast turned into human form and flew to the two sides of the stage. After a series of ceremonies, they first followed the ancient etiquette. After the two bowed to each other, Wu Qiao and Wu Xiaodao came up. At this time they were no longer holding flower baskets but two trays. Sima Yue saw her ring that was taken away by Wu Xiaodao on the trays. Thus, the Western-style ceremony was repeated once more. The one who spoke was still Wu Qiao. Seeing him say those words seriously, Sima Yue wanted to laugh but couldn't. She also felt a little uncomfortable. After Wu Qiao said those words, he looked at the two of them very seriously, waiting for their answer. Sima Yue's mouth twitched but she still replied, "I'm willing. Father, mother, you can wear the ring now." Wu Xiaodao stepped forward and looked at his parents with a smile. Sima Yue inexplicably felt her cheeks heat up. These two little fellows. Then Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu still followed the old customs to toast. Although there were many people, the seats were arranged according to their closeness, so the two of them only needed to propose a toast to those who were close to them. There were many important figures from the human realm, ghost realm, and devil realm. After this round of toasting, the sky had already turned dark. Fortunately, they had eaten the sobering pills that she had refined, so they were not completely drunk. When he reached the table of his brothers, Sima Yue nodded at him, saying, "If he bullies you in the future, just come back. We brothers will take care of you." "Sure," Sima Yue replied with a smile. "Third brother, don't worry. Only Yu bullies me. I didn't bully her," Wu Lingyu cheerfully said. "That's more like it. Originally, I wanted to drag you to drink until you were drunk, but thinking that you two still had to go to other tables, I decided to let you go today. However, when you have time later, you'll have to drink it back," Sima Yuming said. "Of course," Wu Lingyu readily agreed. When they reached Bei Gongtang and the others, Fatty Chu said with a smile, "You're finally married." They had known each other since they were young, so they were more emotional about her marriage than the others. "No matter what, you will always be my companions." Sima Yue raised her wine cup and proposed a toast to them. No matter how big the gap between them was in the future, no matter how often they met, the friendship that they had grown up together would always be engraved in her heart, and in their hearts. Bei Gongtang and the others also raised their wine cups and laughed as they clinked their cups with hers. They drank the wine in their cups in one gulp. The banquet lasted for 3 days, and many people even took out shadow stones to record this scene. After that, it spread all over the devil realm and ghost realm. On the night of the wedding, those people were still drinking outside the city. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu had already returned to Sima family, and were currently in the bridal chamber. A group of people were outside Sima Yue's courtyard. When they saw the bright barrier, they were so angry that they gritted their teeth. They actually did not allow them to disturb the bridal chamber. When they returned, they would definitely settle the score with Wu Lingyu. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu were currently lying on the bed and chatting. They were not worried at all about how they would take revenge on them tomorrow. Wu Lingyu hugged her tightly and sniffed her body. He said with satisfaction, "I finally got to hug you again." In order to prevent him from revealing anything to Sima Yue, the two of them did not meet in private. He also could not stay in Sima residence, so he had not hugged her like this for a long time. Sima Yue's neck was tickled by his breath. She smiled and pushed his head away. It's only been a month. How long has it been? Didn't you come back after not seeing each other for a few years? That's different. In the past, they had no choice. The two of them had things that they had to do, so they had to bear with it even if they wanted to separate. Now the situation was different. The two of them could finally be together. In the past, they stuck together every day. Now that they had been apart for so long, it naturally felt like a long time. Sima Yue could not push him away, so she let him do as he pleased. Thinking about today's scene, she said emotionally, I knew that there would be a lot of people, but I never thought that there would be so many. I wonder if anything happened to the people from the three realms this time. She did not know how the Sima family managed to organize such a large banquet with so many people. Also, the people from the three realms seemed to be in harmony today. She did not know if it was the same before. Don't worry, the people from the Devil Realm and Ghost Realm were all restrained. Nothing happened. Wu Lingyu's hands were already moving around. This wedding dress is so tight. It's not comfortable to wear it. Let's change. Sima Yue glanced at him. Just as she was about to follow his words and take off her wedding dress, she heard a tearing sound. The wedding dress had already been torn to shreds by him. She glared at him. He replied with a smile. Happy nights are short. Let's not waste any more time. Every minute of the night was worth 1,000 gold. Sima Yue was in a trance and didn't remember how long they had been tossing around. She only remembered that Wu Lingyu seemed to want to make up for all the time that he owed her. The banquet would be held for 3 days. Other than the first day of the wedding, the two of them stayed in the room for the next 2 days, chatting and reading. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao, the two little fellows, came back drunk and took care of the two little fellows. Why is there no one looking after them? They are so young and they are allowed to drink. Sima Yue complained as she helped the two little fellows change their clothes. When they returned to the Sima family, she wanted to get 2 maids to look after them. But they did not want to, so she just let them be. Who knew that they would be so drunk today? Wu Lingyu came over to help. They just drank a little wine. Nothing will happen. The two little fellows are so young. The effect of the sobering pill is too strong. I have to refine other pills for them. After saying that, he went into the spirit pagoda. After a while, he came out and gave them 2 pills. The two little fellows then fell asleep. Chapter 2250. Because it was their first time drinking wine and the 2 children were still young, they did not sleep well even though they felt more comfortable after eating the wine she gave them. Wu Xiaodao stretched out his hand and scratched his face, then swung his hand towards Wu Qiao's face. Wu Qiao did not even open his eyes as he grabbed her hand and put it back. He even patted her gently a few times to coax Wu Xiaodao to sleep before he retracted his hand. It seemed that he often did this. Sima Yue was very pleased to see this. Xiao Yaoyao took good care of Xiaodao. He is more like an older brother. Wu Lingyu did not think that it was worth praising and said lightly, a man should take good care of the people around him, not to mention this is his sister. Sima Yue pulled the quilt over to cover the 2 children. She did not know what to think and the smile on her face gradually disappeared. What are you thinking about? Sima Yue sighed. Ming said to let them stay with us until after the wedding. Now that we are married, I don't know when he will come to take the 2 children away. She felt sad when she thought about being separated from the 2 children again. You can't bear to leave the children? Yes. The 2 children are already so big. If you want to go with them, he should not stop you. Wu Lingyu said. Really? Sima Yue's eyes lit up. Then when he comes, I will mention it to him. Anyway, I have not done anything in the past few years. I will go with them. The matters in the human world and the devil world were almost settled. Her own cultivation had increased too quickly, and now she needed to consolidate it instead of continuing to cultivate. Therefore, her time was suddenly free. It was not impossible for her to go with them. Moreover, the 2 children were already grown up. If they were a little uncomfortable, she would not stop them. When the time came, Ming would not say anything. When the time came, she would go with them. Thinking about this, her mood improved again. She looked at the 2 children with a gentle expression. After 3 days of the banquet, the guests went back. The devils and ghosts were invited back by Zhuangzi. They greeted those who Sima Yue was not familiar with, and went back by themselves. Those who were on good terms with her stayed behind, and looked for time to visit her, and Wu Lingyu. Sima Yue met them one by one. By the time she sent them away, 2 to 3 months had passed. As the Sima family quieted down, a faint sorrow of parting shrouded the Sima family. After the wedding, little young master and little young mistress were about to leave. At that time, Wu Lingyu and little young mistress would probably leave as well. There were clearly many people in the clan, but as soon as they left, it always felt like something was missing. However, they also knew that Sima Yue would not stay at this place. She had a long future ahead of her. Therefore, no one could say anything to make her stay. When Ming arrived at the Sima family, Wu Xiaodao dropped the things in her hand and ran towards him. When she was running halfway, she tripped over something and was about to fall again. Ming, who was still a little far away, suddenly appeared beside her and reached out to catch her. "Didn't I tell you not to run away so easily?" Ming frowned and reprimanded, but his words were full of concern. Wu Xiaodao hugged his neck and giggled in his arms. "Xiaodao is happy to see Uncle Ming." Ming's stern face loosened. He hugged her and asked, "Did you miss me after leaving for so long?" "Yes, Xiaodao misses Uncle Ming every day." After saying this, Wu Xiaodao kissed Ming's face. Ming Faker could no longer keep up his poker face. The corners of his mouth curled up, and his tone became much lighter. The guard behind Ming sighed again. The only person who could appease his master when he was angry was the little young mistress. Ming hugged Wu Xiaodao and came to Sima Yue. He looked at Wu Qiao, who was standing at the side, and said, "Why did you raise the 2 little fellows so thin?" "Uncle Ming, it's not that we're thin. Uncle Ming hasn't seen us for a long time, so he thinks we're thin," Wu Qiao explained for his mother. Sima Yue touched Wu Qiao's head and looked at Ming. "When are we leaving?" Ming raised his eyebrows. "Are you sure you want to go?" "Of course. I'll give you half a day." Ming ignored her and went to tease Wu Xiaodao. "Uncle Ming, are we going back to the underworld?" Wu Xiaodao asked. "Yes. Then can we still come back to see grandfather and grandmother?" "We won't be back for a while. When you go back, you have to go through the second round of body shaping and awaken your innate talent. I don't think there's enough time, so how can I have time to come back?" "Then can't we see father?" "Father went back to the demon realm yesterday. Xiaodao promised to go to the demon realm to see him. You can't go back on your word." Ming frowned. He was very unhappy, but he still couldn't bear to see her disappointed. He said hesitantly, "Then I'll let you see him during the break." "Okay. Thank you, Uncle Ming." Wu Xiaodao was happy. She hugged his neck and kissed him on the cheek. Then she turned to look at Wu Qiao, as if she wanted to take credit. Mother and little Yao Yao were still having a headache about going to see father. Wasn't it settled now? Although little Yao Yao was the one who came up with this idea, she was the one who settled it. Wu Qiao's eyes were filled with a smile when he saw her expression. Ming always said that he disliked Wu Xiaodao's fate, but he doted on her the most. With her around, there was nothing that couldn't be done. Just half a day. Stingy. Sima Yue went up to hug Wu Xiaodao. Seeing that Ming was unhappy, she said, "I have to take them to say goodbye to father, mother, and grandfather. You can do as you wish." She put down Wu Xiaodao and took one in each hand to say goodbye to the family. These 2 days, the Sima family had guessed that they were leaving, so they weren't surprised. They were just reluctant to part with them. However, they couldn't bear to part with them. They had no choice but to send them away. Ming opened a passageway that looked like a door. He carried Wu Xiaodao and Sima Yue carried Wu Qiao in. The Sima family sighed. Now that she was leaving, they didn't know how long it would be before they could see her again. Sima Yue came to the underworld and stayed in the small courtyard from before. Before she could say anything to her children, they were taken away by Ming. "Can't it be later?" she protested. "It's already 1 month later than I planned." After saying that, Ming left without looking back. It turned out that he had already given her more than a month to stay in the human world. A few days later, the 2 little fellows were sent back. Sima Yue found that there was a very ancient aura on them. Although it was relatively faint, she still noticed it. The two little fellows snuggled on her body for a while and fell asleep. 2 days after they woke up, Ming took them away again. A few days later, he sent them back and repeated the process. Chapter 2251. Green mountains and clear water. White clouds circled the top. A small stream flowed out of the mountain and slowly flowed into the distance. There were dense woods on both sides of the stream. There were not many trees, but they were all towering trees. A wisp of smoke rose in spirals from the stream. Mother, drink some water. Wu Qiao handed a cup of water to Sima Yue. Mother, wait a little longer. The beggar's chicken will be ready soon. Wu Xiaodao said. Take your time, mother is not in a hurry. Sima Yue drank the water, but Wu Qiao took the cup away. She leaned against the tree trunk and looked at her two children lovingly. In a flash, 8 or 9 years had passed. The two children were already 16 years old. Wu Xiaodao had become a graceful young lady, and Wu Qiao had become a charming little handsome boy. Wu Xiaodao had a cheerful personality, while Wu Qiao was mature and steady. Other than being good to them, he was very cold to outsiders. Who knew where he learned this personality from? Mother, we have been in the god's domain for 2 days. When will we go out? Wu Xiaodao turned over the fire and asked. Wait a little longer. Sima Yue spread out her hand, and a plate of spirit fruit appeared in her palm. Wu Qiao took it and put it on the table. Mother, did Uncle Ming say how long we can stay in the god's domain? Wu Xiaodao estimated that it was about time. He turned over the beggar's chicken and put it on the plate on the table. There were already several dishes on the table. After the beggar's chicken was ready, the three came to eat. He didn't say, he just said to let you follow me out to gain experience. Sima Yue said and picked up the food to eat. Seeing Wu Xiaodao's eyes brighten, the corners of his mouth rose. The beggar's chicken is not bad. Wu Xiaodao was even happier. That's all you have. Wu Qiao said lightly. Wu Qiao, do you want to fight? Wu Xiaodao shouted at him. Wu Qiao was not scared by her threat, and picked up the food to eat. Just when Wu Xiaodao was angry, he said faintly, I am praising you. Besides, can you beat me? You wait and see. One day I will be better than you. Let's talk about it when that day comes. If Sima Yue didn't try to persuade them. Thinking about Wu Xiaodao, she couldn't help but sigh. Wu Qiao's talent was not only in cultivation, but also as a professional. He was very similar to her and Wu Lingyu. He knew almost everything. Although he was still young and his strength level wasn't particularly high, he had already far surpassed his peers. But as for Wu Xiaodao, perhaps because of her fate, everything she touched exploded. She didn't know anything about alchemy, refining, array formations, or beast taming. If one were to say that she didn't have talent, she would be able to remember pill recipes after looking at them twice. Even if she could comprehend them, her furnace would still explode. The only thing she could touch was the cooking flame. Therefore, other than cooking, she did not know how to do anything. Fortunately, she didn't really like those things. She was only passionate about cooking and didn't care if she knew how to do those things. Mother, are we going to look for your friend? Wu Qiao turned to ask Sima Yue after angering Wu Xiaodao. Fu Xi and Sima Yulin were up there. The principal was there as well. There was also Feng Ruyan, Mu Yiqi, Jianan Xian and Xian Qiuhe. Thinking about Xian Qiuhe, her mood was not very good. Mother, are you thinking about Xian Qiuhe? Wu Xiaodao was usually carefree, but sometimes he was especially sensitive. Wu Qiao glanced at Wu Xiaodao and said to Sima Yue, we will definitely find a way to solve Xian Qiuhe's problem. Mother, don't be too sad. Sima Yue had told them about Xian Qiuhe before, so they knew about her relationship with him. She smiled at them, but her heart couldn't help but sink. She didn't tell the two guys that she didn't come this time to reminisce with her friends, but because she started to have that dream again. In the dream, he was killing people and smiling at her. He even said to her, I'll wait for you to come back. She didn't know if it was because she absorbed Emperor Qingdao's power that made their relationship closer, but she could feel him in the underworld. The moment she woke up, she knew that he was calling her back. After a few years of silence, he started to look for her again. She thought about the injuries he got from her. Maybe he went to recuperate in the past few years. Now that he was healed, he couldn't wait for her to come over. She thought about what he said before he left. If she didn't look for Emperor Qingdao, he would kill her family and friends. She didn't dare to gamble with anyone's life, so she decided to come over at that time. She didn't expect that when she told Ming, the two guys heard it. Wu Xiaodao wanted to come together. Although Wu Qiao didn't say it, he stood firmly behind Wu Xiaodao and expressed his intention. Sima Yue thought that Ming would object, but she didn't expect him to agree after thinking for a while, saying that he wanted them to come together. She didn't want the two kids to be too worried, so she said that she was here to see her friends. However, she had been in the divine realm for 2 days, and she didn't think of what to do next. She just wanted to let Xian Qiu know that she was in the divine realm, to calm him down. "Mother, are we going to find your friends?" Wu Xiaodao asked. "I don't know where they are either." Sima Yue said, "Let's get out of here first." After eating, they walked down the stream. The stream gradually converged into a big river. At the intersection of the river, they finally found a small village. "It's so strange here. There are no spirit beasts. We only found a village after walking so far," Wu Xiaodao said. "Mother, let's go into the village and ask?" Wu Xiaodao said. "Okay." Sima Yue had long found out that this place was unusual, but she didn't say anything. She had been waiting for them to find out. The three of them flew towards the village. Before they entered the village, they saw a small figure running out of the village. There were a few people chasing behind him. "Mother, it seems like they are chasing after him," Wu Xiaodao said excitedly. Wu Qiao glanced at her. "Others are being chased. What are you so excited about?" "Little Yao Yao, go save him," Wu Xiaodao ordered him. "I can't tell friend from foe. I won't save him," Wu Qiao refused. "Such a small child. What kind of enemy can he be?" Wu Xiaodao patted his shoulder twice. "I want to save him myself, but I'm afraid that before I can save him, he will be implicated by me and lose his life." Wu Qiao's face darkened. He was very unhappy that she said that. However, he still listened to her and went to kill the people who were chasing after them. Then he came back with the dumbfounded child. "You only know how to bully little Yao Yao," Sima Yue said helplessly. Every time she provoked Wu Qiao or asked him to do something and he was unhappy, she would say that. Then Wu Qiao, who had a bad temper, would completely lose his temper. "When did I bully him?" Wu Xiaodao stuck out his tongue. This child is so small." Sima Yue stared at the logo on the child's clothes and didn't say anything. Chapter 2252. The child was not very old, looking like he was only 8 or 8 years old. But the aura on his body and the brocade on his body did not seem like someone who lived in the village. The little child did not seem to be surprised by the chase, nor did he seem excited about surviving, as if he was used to it. But Sima Yue could see the fear of death in his eyes. The little guy cupped his hands and bowed to her. "Thank you." "Who are you? Why are you here? Who is the person chasing you?" Wu Xiaodao asked. The little fellow pursed his lips. "Thank you for saving me today. If there is a chance in the future, I will definitely repay you. Goodbye." Saying this, he turned around to leave. Hey, little fellow, we saved you. Why are you still like this?" Wu Xiaodao grabbed the clothes around his neck, not letting him go. They still had not asked him about this place. How could they let him go like this? This place was too strange. There were no spirit beasts or people. They did not dare to walk around casually, afraid of encountering unknown things. Now that they finally met someone, how could they let him go like this? The little fellow's clothes were grabbed. He struggled twice, but seeing that it was useless, his aura became heavy. He turned around to attack Wu Xiaodao. Wu Xiaodao grabbed his hand, saying, "Little fellow, you repay kindness with enmity." "If I repay kindness with enmity, I will not leave you," the little fellow coldly said. "It is dangerous to follow me. I don't want to implicate you." "Oh, little fellow, you have a big temper." Wu Xiaodao let him go. "You are just a little fellow, without a guard by your side. And someone is chasing you. Can you leave here alive? Aren't you going to die like this?" The little fellow bit his lips. "As long as I can leave here alive, I will not be in danger for the time being. Then can you leave here alive? Wu Qiao asked. The little fellow was silent, not answering. Leave here alive? He was alone, was it possible? What is your name? Sima Yue asked. Kanan Dan. Kanan. Sima Yue squatted down, straightening his clothes, looking at the leaf symbol on the corner, asking, Do you know Kanan Xin? You know my big brother? Kanan Dan raised her head and looked at her in surprise. Then, she took 2 steps back warily. Who are you? Are you here to kill me as well? Wu Xiaodao knocked on his head. Are you stupid? If we wanted to kill you, why would we save you just now? Sima Yue knew that he was being cautious, but a child was still a child. He showed it the moment she asked. Kanan Hart and I are from the same sect, she explained. So you don't have to be afraid. Kanan Dan stared at her for a while. Suddenly, she seemed to have realized something. You're Sima Yue, aren't you? Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. You know. Are you really Sima Yue? Kanan Dan's face flashed with joy. I heard from Big Brother that he had a very powerful friend at the place where he was studying. He said that she would come to the divine territory. You're the only girl who can make Big Brother praise, so it's definitely you. You have a good relationship with your brother? Why are you being hunted down? Where is Kanan's heart? Where is this place? Wu Xiaodao asked a series of questions. I was born with Big Brother taking care of me. This time he went out to do something. I heard that he was in danger, so I brought people over. I didn't think that I would fall into the enemy's trap. As for the people who want to kill me, I don't know who they are. You have a lot of enemies. There are many people who don't like Big Brother. They know about my relationship with Big Brother and want to make a move on me. Kanan Dan's voice became softer as he spoke. He knew where he went wrong this time. Since he knew that many people would make a move on him, he still hurriedly brought people over. Sima Yue did not blame him. She did not have such thoughts, nor was she in a position to do so. She asked, Do you know where this is? We've walked for a long time, and we haven't seen a single spirit beast or a single person. Do you know why? This is a forbidden area. Everyone here has been chased away. If you're discovered, you'll lose your life. Kanan Dan said. If it wasn't for the fact that he had no other choice, his guards wouldn't have brought him to this place. Forbidden area? What forbidden area? Wu Qiao asked. Taotai Palace's forbidden area. Don't you know? After Kanan Dan finished speaking, he felt that it wasn't right. He rubbed the back of his head and said, You just came to God Domain. It's normal that you don't know. I don't know what they found here. Taotai Palace's people marked this place as their forbidden area and chased away all the people and beasts here. Normally, no one is allowed to enter this place. If you're discovered, you'll be chased by Taotai Palace. Taotai Palace? Is it very powerful? Wu Xiaodao asked. Of course. This is the most powerful faction in God Domain, because they have Taotai overseeing it. It's very powerful. Thinking about Taotai Palace's methods and thinking about how he came here, he was so scared that he shivered. Taotai Palace? Sima Yue raised her brows. If she didn't remember wrongly, Taotai was one of the 4 ancient fierce beasts, right? Crimson Flame and the others were divine beasts. Only the 4 ancient fierce beasts could injure and kill the 4 of them. Could it be that Taotai Palace was also involved? Taotai. Then does God Domain have Cheongqi Palace, Bayan Palace and Primal Chaos Palace? Wu Xiaodao asked. That's right. Right now, God Domain can be said to be ruled by 4 palaces. They are all very fierce. If they know that we came in, we definitely won't be able to live. Let's leave quickly, Jia Nanshin said anxiously. Do you know how to get out? Sima Yue asked. Jia Nanshin's face turned red and said softly, I was brought here by the guards in a panic. I don't know how far we ran and we used a one-time teleportation array, so I don't know where we are now. Sima Yue and the others were speechless. Seeing how he was so anxious before, they thought that he knew how to get out. Looks like we can only guess. Sima Yue sighed. Do you know which direction you came from? I don't know. Jia Nanshin shook his head. Was it morning or afternoon when you came in? Was the sun in front of you or behind you? When she asked this, Jia Nanxin understood and replied, "When we came in, the sun had already set. However, I remember that we kept running forward. Before the sun set, it was behind us." "So you're saying that you ran from west to east?" Sima Yue raised her head and looked at the sun. "Then let's go west. Maybe we'll be lucky and get out." "Mother, why do you think Tao Tai Palace made this place a forbidden area? Do you think there are any treasures here?" Wu Xiaodao went up and held Sima Yue's hand, and said excitedly. Chapter 2253. Wu Qiao wanted to say that she was not fated to have any treasures, so why were she so excited? But he was afraid of hurting her, so he swallowed his words. Previously, she and Wu Xiaodao had gone on an adventure together. As if to verify her fate, Ming had brought them to a treasured land. In the end, just as Ming had said, everyone else had obtained treasures, but she had returned empty-handed. Actually, she was not empty-handed. She had brought back a rusty dagger that was completely useless. She had insisted on Wu Qiao polishing it for her. Wu Qiao did not tell her that the dagger had broken into two when he was polishing it. He had given her something else that he had prepared for himself. So now, when Wu Xiaodao mentioned treasures, he would think of her fate. And she did not seem to care about it at all. "There are no treasures here," Kanan Dan said, breaking Wu Xiaodao's fantasy. "Little guy, how do you know there aren't any?" Wu Xiaodao reached out and pinched his nose. "Because this place has been searched from head to toe. If there were any treasures, they would have taken them away long ago." Kanan Dan leaned back, avoiding her claws. "That seems to make sense." Wu Xiaodao could not pinch his nose, so she reached out to touch his head. "But have you thought about it? If there are no treasures here, why would they treat this place as a forbidden area? Isn't it because there are treasures that have not been found yet?" Kanan Dan was startled. What she said seemed to make more sense. Even if there really are treasures here, they have not found them with so many people. This means that it is not easy to find. Let's leave this place first. Otherwise, if we are discovered, it will cause more trouble, Wu Qiao said. Wu Xiaodao also knew that what he said made sense, so she did not dwell on the matter of treasures. Sima Yue had not said much since she brought them out. Unlike before, she did everything by herself. Now, she was more inclined to let the two children make the decisions. This was a way to train the two children. They were still young, and she could not be with them all the time in the future. Letting them be independent was really for their sake. The three of them flew west with Kanan Dan. On the way, they met a few patrolling people, who were all killed by Sima Yue. These people were not the guards who had chased after Kanan Dan. They were much stronger. They could not make too much noise and could only do it themselves. The further we go, the more people are patrolling. Wu Xiaodao came to Sima Yue's side and skillfully removed the corpses on the ground. "Yes, the exit is not far away. We have to be careful," Sima Yue replied. "Mother, it's not good for us to bring him out like this." After Wu Xiaodao finished speaking, he sneakily glanced at Kanan Dan. Kanan Dan was creeped out by her gaze. Before she could say anything, she felt dizzy and fell straight to the ground. Just as he was about to hit the ground, Wu Qiao caught him. His movements are really fast. Wu Xiaodao curled his lips. Wu Qiao's temperament was just like that. He would attack immediately. Sima Yue placed Kanan Dan into the spirit pagoda and continued to fly forward with Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao. The three of them all knew how to hide their presence. In this aspect, the two children had inherited her teachings. But with Kanan Dan, it was different. He was still young and looked like he had just started cultivating. The last two times, it was because of his presence that people had been attracted. "Someone is coming," Sima Yue said to the two children. The three of them found a big tree to hide in and hid their presence. Soon, there were sounds coming from not far away, accompanied by the sound of conversation. "There was a battle here just now. Someone must have broken in. But I didn't see anyone. Let's search carefully. We must be careful. There can't be any problems. Otherwise, when the higher-ups ask about it, we won't be able to bear the consequences." "Boss, you are too nervous. Although there is something here that is related to advancement, we haven't found anything after searching for so long. There must be nothing here. Yes, boss. We have searched this place twice and didn't find anything. Is there really a treasure here? How can the ancient sacred fire order's reaction be wrong? All right. Don't ask so much. Don't you know that the more you know, the faster you die? Search this place. Those few people were scolded and laughed. When they were about to search other places, they suddenly felt a chill on their necks. In a breath's time, their necks were all slit. They looked at each other, not knowing what had happened. But they didn't have the brains to think. In the next second, they all fell to the ground. Mother, this move of yours is powerful. Can you teach me? Wu Xiaodao came down from the tree and said with a smile. Sure. You have to be able to understand space first. Then, you can learn teleportation. I will teach you this move. Sima Yue said. Mother, you just don't want to teach me how to kill people. Wu Xiaodao curled his lips and ran to destroy the corpses. Sima Yue didn't reply to him. She looked at the corpses thoughtfully. Mother, are you thinking about the ancient sacred fire order? Wu Qiao asked. I think I know what the treasure they are talking about is. Sima Yue said. Mother, what is it? Wu Xiaodao's eyes lit up. It's not what you think. I think the thing here should be related to the primal chaos aura. Sima Yue said. The most special thing about the ancient sacred fire order was the primal chaos aura. Anything that could cause it to react would most likely be related to it. Then let's go and snatch that thing. Wu Qiao raised his eyebrows. Sima Yue smiled but didn't say anything. Her son understood her as expected. She released the primal chaos aura. Then she released her mental energy to sense it. She really sensed a trace of aura. She opened her eyes and smiled. Let's go. Tao Tai Palace's treasure pavilion suddenly released a dazzling light. It was especially dazzling in this dark night. Not only Tao Tai Palace, even the people outside saw it. What is this situation? What kind of light is that? It's coming from the treasure pavilion. The ancient sacred fire order. What? Other than that time, the ancient sacred fire order didn't react at all. Even the last time, it didn't have such a strong reaction. Could it be that something happened in the Forbidden Grounds? Quick! Let's go to the Forbidden Grounds to take a look. A group of people excitedly rushed from Tao Tai Palace to the Forbidden Grounds. They thought that they would be able to find that treasure this time. This was the key to unlocking the ancient sacred fire order. They might be able to find it if they went now. However, when they arrived, they only saw a pit. The soil beside the pit was freshly dug up. It was incomparably fresh. The remnant primal chaos aura inside seemed to be mocking them for returning empty-handed after so long. Go and investigate. You must find that person and tear him to shreds. Chapter 2254. Kanan Dan only had one thought before he fainted. Are these people bad people? This thought remained the moment he woke up. He opened his eyes and saw the blue sky and Wu Xiaodao's playful eyes. He blinked his eyes. Was he awake? Wu Xiaodao saw that he was still confused and said, You haven't woken up yet? Kanan Dan remembered what happened before, and sat up from the ground and looked around. He was still in the wilderness, and there were only the three of them. He wasn't tied up. You didn't want to catch me? He asked in surprise. Why would we want to catch you? Wu Xiaodao reached out to pinch his face and said, It's just a bit troublesome to bring you out. We need you to be quiet, so we let you sleep. Kanan Dan felt that they didn't need to lie to him. If they wanted to catch him, with their strength, they didn't need to do anything else. He stood up and patted the dust off his clothes and asked, We're out of the forbidden zone? Yes. So you're safe for now, Wu Xiaodao said. Kanan Dan had already guessed it, but when he heard that it was safe, he was surprised. He knew how strong Tao Tai Palace was. He thought that Sima Yue was just saying it, and didn't really have any hope. He didn't think that they would really bring him out. He was stunned for a moment and bowed to them. Thank you for saving my life. Get up, get up. You're so young and you're like an old man. Wu Xiaodao picked him up and looked at Sima Yue. Mother, what do we do next? Sima Yue was silent for a moment and said, Since we're out, let's send him back to Canaan Xian. She didn't plan to find Canaan Xian, but now that she met her brother, She couldn't just leave the little guy alone. Do you know where your brother is? Sima Yue asked. Cain and Dan's eyes lit up. I know. Then he thought of something and the light in his eyes fell back. I appreciate your kindness, but it's very dangerous to follow me. You'd better send me to a nearby city. I just need to contact my brother, and he'll send someone to pick me up. At such a young age, you think quite a lot. Wu Xiaodao smiled. Don't worry, if we didn't have any strength, would we dare to bring you along? We were able to come out of the Taotai Palace's forbidden grounds unscathed. Could it be that the people chasing after you are stronger than the people from the Taotai Palace? No. Cain and Dan shook his head. That's it. Tell me where your big brother is. We'll go and find him. Okay. Let's go then. Sister, you guys are so nice. Wu Qiao shook his head. Wu Xiaodao didn't insist on giving it to him out of kindness. It was entirely because she wanted to experience the feeling of being hunted down. Sima Yue also knew Wu Xiaodao's thoughts, but she didn't care. If her children wanted to play, then let them play. Anyway, there were people protecting them. Although she didn't see those people that dark sent, once the two little guys were in danger, they would definitely come out immediately. However, Cain and Dan did not know where Cain and Xian was. He only knew where Cain and Xian was before he left. Thus, they could only go to the place where Cain and Xian was before. However, this way, the journey would not be peaceful. They didn't go far before they met the first wave of people chasing after them. At first, Cain and Dan was very worried. There were more than 10 people, and they only had 3 people. Soon he knew that his worries were unnecessary. Although Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao were not very strong, Sima Yue was very good at killing people. Moreover, she had very powerful beasts. When those beasts came out, those people were killed in a few moves. When Sima Yue came back from killing people, he couldn't help but take a few more glances at her. She didn't talk much and didn't make many decisions. Whether to leave or stay, it was all up to Wu Qiao and Wu Xiaodao. She looked very gentle. Who knew that she was so powerful? Thinking about it, she and Big Brother were from the same sect. If she wasn't powerful, how could they be from the same sect? Big Brother said that those who could enter their sect were very powerful. A few days later, they met the second wave of people chasing after them. There were more people than the last time. Cain and Dan was worried again. In the end, Sima Yue took care of them again. When the third wave of people came, he was already very calm. With her around, there was no need to worry about these small shrimps. No wonder they weren't worried at all. She was really powerful. With them around, he would definitely be able to find Big Brother safely. Because they had been rushing for several days, Sima Yue was afraid that Cain and Dan wouldn't be able to hold on. When they came to a city, she brought them into the city to find an inn to rest. Innkeeper, we want 2 guest rooms. Sima Yue said. Okay. The innkeeper took the money and gave them the keys to 2 rooms. When they took the keys and were about to go upstairs, a few people wearing black robes walked in from outside. Move, move. Those few people pushed the people in front of the counter and came to the counter. They stared at the innkeeper fiercely. When the innkeeper saw these people, he was so scared that his legs turned to jelly. He smiled flatteringly and said, Sirs, why are you here? Have you seen anyone suspicious recently? One of them asked. No, we have been paying attention since you came last time. We didn't see anyone suspicious. The innkeeper said. Those few people gave a few words of advice and sized up the people in the inn. After confirming that there was no one suspicious, they left with their people. Sima Yue stood behind the crowd and glanced at those people. When she saw the golden embroidered spirit beasts on their clothes, she knew their identities. People from Taotai Palace. Could it be that the person they were looking for was her? Taotai Palace is really making a big commotion this time. When the people from Taotai Palace left, the people in the inn started to discuss. That's for sure. The reaction from the ancient sacred flame insignia was so big, and Taotai Palace lost their treasure. How could they not be anxious to find it back? I heard that the ancient sacred flame insignia didn't react at all recently. This treasure probably can't be found. Lower your voice. If you gloat like this, be careful that we don't catch you. Sirs, please follow me. The waiter brought them upstairs. Sima Yue followed behind the waiter and went upstairs. She thought about what those people said just now. She didn't pay attention when Jia Nandan mentioned it previously. Now that these people mentioned that the ancient sacred flame insignia was in Taotai Palace, she clearly gave the ancient sacred flame insignia to the Dark Dragon Guard. Why did it appear in Taotai Palace now? Could it be that Xian Qiuhe gave it to them? She thought that it was not possible. If the Dark Dragon Guard didn't care about this, why would they spend so much effort to find it? Chapter 2255. Sima Yue let Wu Qiao and Canaan Dan stay in one room, while she and Wu Xiaodao chose the other. Mother, from what those people said, it seems like when we got the treasure, the ancient sacred flame insignia had a huge reaction. Wu Xiaodao said, "This should be related to your aura." Sima Yue took out a milky white bead and gave it to her. The chaos aura in this is not strong, so it only caused the ancient sacred flame insignia to react. The chaos aura that she released that day was the reason why the ancient sacred flame insignia went crazy. And that milky white bead was not a treasure. It just happened to contain chaos aura. Wu Xiaodao rolled the bead around on the table and said, "Mother, is this chaos world really that powerful?" The chaos world gives birth to life. It is the origin of all life. Since it can give birth to life, it means that it is more powerful than other worlds. But this is only my speculation. Sima Yue explained. I think what Mother said makes sense. Other places can't do it. Only this place can. It means that it is different from the rest. It's a pity that we can't see what it's like inside. Wu Xiaodao said regretfully. Maybe there will be a chance in the future. Sima Yue comforted her. Mother, do you have a way to take us there? Wu Xiaodao looked at her with sparkling eyes. Sima Yue shook her head. How could I have a way? I just think that since people can live there, maybe they can do it in the future. So it's like this. I thought Mother had a way. Wu Xiaodao was a little discouraged. No one has been there for hundreds of thousands of years. This idea can only be an idea. Sima Yue saw her disappointment and smiled as she poked her head. Mother is not omnipotent. In my eyes, Mother is omnipotent. Wu Xiaodao held her arm and leaned her head on her shoulder, giggling as she said, Since I was young, I thought that Mother is omnipotent, and in the future, Mother will also be omnipotent. Shouldn't Mother thank you for your unconditional trust? Sima Yue smiled. Hee. They rested at the inn for the night and continued their journey the next morning. After encountering a few waves of pursuers, Canaan Dan disappeared from everyone's sight. The Canaan family was the most anxious. They had already sent people to pick up the young master, but he had gone missing. If something happened to him, how were they going to explain it to their family? The pursuers were confused as well. According to their plan, Canaan Dan should not have disappeared from their sight. Now that he was gone, their plan to use him to attack Canaan's heart could not be carried out. Canaan Xian also knew about Canaan Dan. She wanted to find him, but she couldn't leave, because he himself was in danger. Canaan Dan did not know that his family and his pursuers were looking for him. At this time, he was discussing with Wu Xiaodao whether he could not be so ugly next time. He was obviously a little kid, but Wu Xiaodao made him look like an old man. And an old man with dwarfism. That's what you call catching people by surprise. Who would think that you're that little kid? You're also very cute like this. Wu Xiaodao glanced at the wrinkled skin on Canaan Dan's face and arms. He smiled and said, You see, we haven't been chased for the past few days, right? Then, all right. Canaan Dan thought about how peaceful the past few days were, and could only accept it. Be good. Wait until we find your brother. Wu Xiaodao wanted to experience the joy of being chased, but after too many times, she became impatient. So she thought of a way to change his appearance. In addition, no one had seen the three of them before, so no one recognized them along the way. They brought Canaan Dan to the city he mentioned. But they received news that Canaan Xian was no longer here, and had gone to a nearby plain. It was said that there was a treasure there. Many people went there. Treasure? Wu Xiaodao looked at Sima Yue and said, Mother, since we brought Canaan Dan to this place, then let's be good to the end and send him to his brother. If you want to go, then you can go. I'm old and I won't join in. Canaan is still young and there are many people there. It's dangerous, so don't go. Stay here with me and wait for you to come back. Sima Yue wanted to train the two children and planned to let them experience it themselves. We'll go by ourselves? Sima Yue nodded. Just the two of you. Little Yao Yao, you have to take good care of Xiao Dao, okay? Xiao Dao, you're not allowed to cause trouble. You have to listen to little Yao Yao, okay? Wu Xiaodao nodded and promised, Mother, don't worry. I'll protect little brother. Wu Qiao, who was protecting who when they went out. Wu Qiao and Wu Xiaodao left. Sima Yue let me Air and Little Black go with them. She stayed at the inn with Canaan. Aren't you worried about them? Canaan saw that she was still in the mood to read and sat beside her. I'm worried. If you're worried, then why did you let them go by themselves? Why didn't you let them go by themselves? Sima Yu saw his round eyes and serious appearance. She thought of Wu Qiyao when he was young. She reached out and patted his head, saying, I can't always accompany them. There will always be a time when I let them do things on their own. Besides, didn't I let my contracted beasts go with them? They will tell me if there's danger. Canaan wanted to tell her that she wouldn't be able to rush over in time. But seeing how calm she was, she swallowed her words. She might have a plan. Are you hungry? Let's eat this first. Sima Yu placed a plate of spirit fruits on the table and continued to read. Canaan glanced at her and picked up a spirit fruit to eat. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao followed the crowd to the place where the treasure was. With these people around, they didn't have to worry about not being able to find the way. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao walked slowly. Along the way, many people passed them. Seeing that they were just the two of them, they couldn't help but take a few more glances. With such strength, they dared to snatch the treasure from everyone? Were they sure they weren't going to die? Wu Xiaodao wanted to argue with them, but was stopped by Wu Qiao. These people are too much. If I don't take care of them, I won't be able to vent the anger in my heart. Wu Xiaodao said angrily. This is a good thing. What are you angry about? The more others look down on us, the less attention we will attract if we go there. If there really is a treasure, it will be easier for us to snatch it. Wu Qiao comforted her. What you said makes a lot of sense. Humph, those fellows are just waiting for me to snatch the treasure and blind their dog eyes. Wu Qiao didn't reply. To her, this was just a thought. Chapter 2256. Dear God Mountain was not a famous mountain range before, but it was very lively recently because there was a treasure light here. There must be some treasure that was about to appear. Because the treasure light appeared at night, many people saw it. This news could not be hidden. So the news of a treasure appearing at Dear God Mountain spread like wildfire. Not only that, less than a month after this news spread, there was another news. Dear God Mountain had the almighty Lu Xing's grave. If it was said that those people were not that enthusiastic about the treasure hunt at Dear God Mountain before, now that this news came out, the entire divine realm was boiling. For hundreds of thousands of years, there had not been any almighty in the divine realm. Even if they were more loved by the heavens than the people of the lower continents, they could only advance to the emperor level. There was not a single almighty above that. So the heavens did not only change the lower continents, but they were also affected. Now that they found the Almighty's grave, they might be able to obtain some useful information. Who knows, they might be able to find a way to break the shackles of the heavens. Dear God Mountain became a place that everyone in the divine realm rushed to like a flock of ducks. When Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao arrived, those people had not found the Almighty's grave yet, but they were all heading towards the center of Dear God Mountain. It was said that there was already some progress, and now many people were rushing towards that place. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao followed the crowd and flew over. Wu Qiao sized up the surroundings and said, This is not the Almighty's grave. What did you see? Wu Xiaodao glanced over and did not see anything. The feng shui here is not bad, but for a grave, it is a place of great danger. Wu Qiao said with certainty. You're at the entry level of spirit seeking? Wu Xiaodao asked. Yes, Mother taught me before. Uncle Ming also taught me a bit. Wu Qiao replied. Uncle Ming taught you? Did he teach you something bad again? Wu Xiaodao knew dark too well. It's not bad, Wu Qiao said, but there are so many people here, it's good for us to see more. Then let's go. The two little guys continued forward, not noticing that the space behind them moved, and Sima Yue walked out. If it was just a simple treasure hunt before, then she had nothing to worry about. However, he didn't expect that this place would become the graveyard of a powerful being, and that so many powerful people would come. She couldn't sit still when she heard the news. She knocked Kanan unconscious, threw him into the spirit pagoda, and came over. She didn't expect to hear the two little fellows talking. Wu Qiao was right. The feng shui here was good, but for a cemetery it was a place of great danger. However, Wu Qiao was only 14 or 15 years old, and he hadn't been in contact with the Seeker's origin for long. Only the Nether sect would be able to determine that there wasn't a graveyard here. The way Ming taught the two children was very different. Wu Xiaodao was lively, curious about everything, and considerate, which just happened to iron his heart, so he followed her in everything and spoiled her to the point of lawlessness. Fortunately, she was not very troublesome and was very obedient in her place. Other than being a little wild, her heart was still good. She did not restrain Xiaodao much. As for Wu Qiao, he had always been dull since he was a child, so Ming always taught him some different things. For example, when he learned that Wu Qiao had learned how to search for spirits from Yue, he would teach him about the feng shui of graves. Sima Yue knew that he hoped that Wu Qiao would go tomb raiding in the future. No matter what he taught, Wu Qiao learned it in a few moments. However, it was useless. His personality was still the same, and hadn't changed at all. Now that she was here, she couldn't ignore the two children. However, she also wanted the two little fellows to continue their training. So she called Qian Yin out and changed her appearance after fusing. She restrained her aura and followed them into the mountain. She saw that Wu Xiaodao was curious about everything. She pulled Wu Qiao's hand and went here and there. Although Wu Qiao was not interested, he still followed her everywhere. When she was close to them, the distance between them was less than 10 meters. She suddenly felt that it was not bad to look at the two little fellows like this. When Wu Qiao looked back at her for the second time and frowned slightly, she found a place where there was no one and changed her appearance. This sensitive little fellow. She smiled and continued to follow. Little Yao Yao, do you think there is really a powerful mausoleum here? We have already met a few monarchs. Wu Xiaodao pulled Wu Qiao to the center of Dear God Mountain, and met a few monarchs on the way. Although they had restrained their auras, they could deceive others, but they couldn't deceive these two. Probably. Wu Qiao replied. Mother said that when great-grandfather advanced to monarch, he was almost killed by the heavenly Tao. There are so many monarchs here. The heavenly Tao is indeed biased. Wu Xiaodao ridiculed. Since this is the divine domain, there are naturally many other advantages. Wu Qiao analyzed. Many of the people living here have ancient bloodlines. I think those few monarchs are not ordinary people. Perhaps their bloodlines gave them some advantage when they advanced to monarch. The possibility of what you said is very high. How about this? Let's find two monarchs to study. Wu Xiaodao's eyes lit up when he said this. With our strength? Or the two of them? Wu Qiao shook his arm. There was a black ring on his and Wu Xiaodao's hands. It was me air and little black. Besides, mother came here for something. What if we cause trouble for her? Hearing that they would cause trouble for Sima Yue, Wu Xiaodao suppressed this idea. If the two of them caused trouble, they could just go back to the underworld. However, mother was here to meet a friend. Furthermore, Qi Yan and the others' matter had to be settled. They could not drag her down. Then let's go treasure hunting. She was like this. Once she thought it through, she would not be entangled. Instead, she asked, Little Yao Yao, since you know that this is not the real Almighty's mausoleum, can you use the spirit-seeking method to find other places? I don't know. I have only just started searching for spirits. Wu Qiao said. The only reason he knew that the place they were surrounding was not a tomb was because Ming had told him about this situation. He did not know much about spirit-seeking. What did you say? This is not the Almighty's mausoleum? A sharp voice came from behind a big tree. Following that, A short man with twisted facial features walked out from behind the tree. He stared closely at Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiyao. The monarch's aura rushed over, causing the surrounding people to be unable to breathe. You said that there is no Almighty's mausoleum here. Is that true? Chapter 2257. The little old man's voice was very sharp, a bit like the sound of an electric drill. It made people's hair stand on end. Coupled with his appearance, he looked very scary. He released a little of his emperor's power, and the people around him bowed slightly. But this didn't include the two of them. The little old man's sharp eyes stared at Wu Qiyao and Wu Xiaodao. His eyes narrowed slightly. They were just two god-level people, but their expressions didn't change under his emperor's pressure. Wu Xiaodao felt a bit unlucky. He just said that he wanted to catch two emperors to study, and now he immediately ran into them. And from the other party's appearance, it was obvious that he heard what they just said. As for his emperor's pressure, she didn't feel it at all. She and Wu Qiyao had long been used to this. I'm asking you. You just said that there is no almighty tomb here. Is that true? The little old man asked again. Yes. Wu Qiyao replied. Why are you so sure? The little old man sized him up. He was young, but his ability was not small. Not only did he know that this was not the tomb of an almighty, he also ignored his pressure. He didn't know which family's young master ran out. With this thought in mind, he withdrew his pressure. Wu Qiyao didn't hide it. He analyzed the terrain of the central area of Dear God Mountain, and continued. With this kind of feng shui, an almighty wouldn't choose this place. After the little old man heard this, he didn't say anything. His sharp eyes looked at him, as if to distinguish whether his words were true or false. Wu Qiyao was not anxious, nor was he afraid. He let him size him up. After nearly a minute, the little old man said, Since you are so sure, then you know where this tomb is? I don't know. I know this by chance. I didn't analyze it myself. As for whether there is an almighty tomb here, I really don't know. Wu Qiyao said honestly. Obviously, the little old man didn't believe him. He looked around. The people who were watching the show all fled in fear. Soon, only the three of them were left. You said that there is no almighty tomb here. I believe that. Now what you need to do is to find the almighty tomb on Dear God Mountain. Why? Wu Xiaodao touched the black ring on his hand, thinking about when to call them out. Based on the fact that your little lives are now in my hands. The little old man snorted coldly. If you can find them, you'll live. If you can't find it, I'm afraid the two of you will become fertilizer in this Dear God Mountain. Are you threatening us? Wu Xiaodao raised her eyebrows. She had never been threatened before. This was the first time he felt that it was quite refreshing. However, now was not the time to show her excitement. She paused and her small face sank. What if there's nothing here? Do you think we can conjure one up for you? There is definitely one here. However, it is indeed as you said. It is not at the center of the mountain range. The little old man said resolutely and decisively. It seemed that he had something to rely on. When the little old man saw the understanding look on their faces, he didn't explain too much. He did have reliable information that there was a mausoleum of a mighty figure on Mount Deer. At first, like everyone else, he thought that he was in the center of the life vein. However, after searching for a few months in the center and carefully comparing the information in his hands, he rejected this idea. Dear God Mountain was very large, and the mausoleum was buried underground. He didn't know where it was. In order to obtain some information, he deliberately made some movements here, and then spread the news of the mausoleum. This was to attract more people to come, and see if anyone could find anything. He didn't expect that after waiting for so long, those people who came only circled around the center of the mountain range, and didn't find anything else. Just as he was reflecting on the inappropriateness of his actions under a big tree, he overheard the conversation between the two. He didn't expect that although the two of them looked very young, they would be able to reveal the secret of the mausoleum. Since this person could see that the mausoleum wasn't here, then he could discover the true location of the mausoleum. Moreover, these two people's strength wasn't high and they didn't have any powerful people following them. It would be easy to control them. If they wanted to resist, it would be easy to kill them. The news that the mausoleum wasn't in the center of the mountain range must not be spread out. Wu Qiao never showed a trace of panic. He pulled Wu Xiaodao behind him and calmly looked at the little old man and said, "You plan to either let us find the mausoleum for you or kill us, right?" "Hee hee, you're young but you know a lot." The little old man laughed strangely. "You're right. You only have these two paths to take now. If you insist that you don't know, then I can only make you keep this a secret forever." With that, he stared at the two people with killing intent, as if he wanted to kill them if they said they didn't know. Wu Qiao hesitated for 2 seconds and nodded. "I'll take you to find it." The little old man wasn't surprised by his decision. His figure flashed and appeared behind the two people like a ghost. He grabbed one with each hand and disappeared from the spot. Sima Yue sat on the branch of the tree where the little old man appeared. If the little old man was here, he would be shocked. There was actually someone who could be so close to him, and he didn't even notice. Sima Yue called Little Roar out. Before she could open her mouth, Little Roar anxiously said, "Yu, the two children have been taken away. Why are you still sitting here leisurely?" "Don't worry, their lives won't be in danger for now." Sima Yue wasn't worried at all. Since the person just now wanted to capture them to find the mausoleum, he wouldn't change his mind so quickly. Even if it was a seeker spirit master like her, finding the mausoleum wasn't something that could be done in a short period of time. So the little old man would give them some time. And seeing Wu Xiaodao's eagerness to fight, she was afraid that he was still immersed in the fresh experience of being kidnapped. He hadn't experienced enough yet. If she, as his mother, went to save him, he would be unhappy. Even Wu Qiao didn't show any signs of fear. That calm look made her curious as to how he was going to find the mausoleum with the little old man. Little Roar understood her meaning and didn't bother about it. He asked, "Yu, is there really an almighty mausoleum here?" "That's the reason why I called you out." Sima Yue rubbed his body twice and said, "You're usually the best at talking. This time, I'll have to trouble you to ask the spirit beasts in the mountain if there's anything special about this dear God mountain." Chapter 2258. When Little Roar heard this, he immediately became spirited and said, "That's easy. However, it's too dangerous for me to go alone. Let Little Dream, Hua Hua and Little Seven follow me." Sima Yue nodded. She knew that he would bring it up. However, it was indeed dangerous here. It would be safer with a few more people. Let Little Dream and Hua Hua go with you. Forget about Little Seven. She didn't understand the people in the divine territory. If Little Seven's identity was discovered, she would be in danger. When Little Seven heard this, she protested in the spirit pagoda. How could she not participate in such a fun thing? After her protests, Yue still allowed her to go. However, because Little Seven was going, she let Little Fire follow. She didn't know what Ming did to Little Fire in the underworld. After bringing him out for a few years, he became a fiery red-haired 3- or 4-year-old child. Ming said that his strength increased by a lot. She hadn't seen it with her own eyes. However, since he could transform, he shouldn't be weak. With him following, he could resist for a while if anything happened. However, this way, she would have to worry about the two children and pay more attention to Little Seven. The beasts left excitedly. Sima Yue sat on the tree for a while. She sensed Wu Xiaodao's position and was about to chase after them when a group of people ran over. Seeing the people, Sima Yue's disappearing figure became clear again. If anyone saw this scene, they would be shocked. There were actually people in this world who could enter and exit space at will and not be hurt. Furthermore, there was no movement at all. However, the people below didn't notice that there was someone on the tree. A group of people surrounded Jia Nanxin and his guards. Jia Nanxin was injured and the other person was heavily injured. The people surrounding them were also in a sorry state. It seemed that they had gone through a fierce battle. "Jia Nanxin, you have nowhere to run today. You should obediently surrender." One of them shouted. "If you insist on resisting, then this day next year will be your death anniversary." Those people didn't hide anything. It seemed that they didn't mind letting her know their identities. Sima Yue thought of the people chasing after Jia Nanxin. Jia Nanxin did not show any fear on her face, but there was still some unwillingness in her eyes. If he really died here today, he didn't know if his family would be able to survive this crisis. As for little Dan, he didn't know where he was or if he could grow up well. No, he couldn't die. He gripped the artifact in his hand tightly. He had to find a way to leave this place alive. Master, I'll hold them back for a while. You take the opportunity to escape. The person who was with Kanan Exian said softly. No, you can't do that. Jiananshin pulled him back and stopped him. Both of them were running out of spiritual energy, and there were so many of them. There was only one way to stop them, and that was to self-detonate. He couldn't trade someone else's life for his own. That person wanted to say something, but when he saw Kanan's determined gaze, he fell silent again. Even if she didn't let him say it now, he would still do it when they started fighting later. Looks like you don't want to surrender. The other party didn't have much patience. The order they received was to capture him alive if they could. If he insisted on resisting, it didn't matter even if he died. They had been chasing Kanan Exian for a few days now, and they had lost a lot of people. They thought they could kill him every time, but he escaped every time. This time, they had lost so many people to force him to this point. No matter what, they had to get rid of him today. Both parties started fighting again. Kanan Exian and that person were already running out of spiritual energy, and now they had only recovered a little. They were running out of energy after using 2 spiritual techniques. Seeing that they were about to be killed, the person beside Kanan Exian kept his artifact and started to reverse the flow of spiritual energy. Kanan Exian noticed his actions and rushed over to interrupt him. Stop! I said, you're not allowed to take this step. Young master, be careful. A spiritual technique flew over while he was rushing over Kanan Exian, and that person didn't have the strength to block it. If it hit them, they would definitely die. Young master, be careful. Kanan Exian's back was facing those people, but the other person was facing them. When he saw the spiritual technique flying over, he instinctively pulled Kanan Exian behind him and put himself in front. Kanan Exian immediately understood, but he couldn't let him stand in front of him to block the attack. His injuries were much more serious than his. If he was hit directly, he would definitely die. At the last moment, he moved his body and used the last of his strength to switch their bodies. At this moment, the energy was already in front of him. The pain that he expected didn't appear. Not only was there no pain, he didn't even feel anything. When the spiritual technique dissipated, the 2 of them were still standing in their original positions. They didn't die? Kanan Exian was stunned, and immediately reacted. They must have been saved by someone. But there was no one around. Who saved them? The people on the other side immediately became alert. Someone could actually save them silently. This meant that the other party wasn't weak. But at this moment, who would save them? Just as both sides were shocked, one of the people on the other side suddenly shouted, "There's someone on the tree!" Everyone looked up and saw a figure on the tree. Instantly, everyone was shocked. When did this person appear here? Not a single one of them had noticed it. Kanan Exian was also very confused. He didn't know this person. Why did she save him? And from the way she looked at him, it was obvious that they knew each other. When did he know such a powerful person? Sima Yue sat on the tree. Looking at the shocked and frightened faces of the people below, she laughed in her heart. She was now a strong person in the eyes of others. It was a pity that most of these powers belonged to others. She just took advantage of them. I'll protect Kanan Exian's life. Do you want to leave on your own? Or do you want to stay and become fertilizer? She flicked her nails and said casually, "Who is that person?" The other party looked at her cautiously. "Who is related to you? Do you think that you can beat me or what?" She dragged out the last word, but it carried an inviolable aura. The people below were only Paragon rankers. It was easy for her to deal with them. Thinking about this, she sighed. Paragon rankers were not as common as cabbages in the divine realm, but there were still a lot of them. She didn't know if it was because of the environment here or their bloodline. Thinking about Wu Xiaodao's idea of bringing 2 people back to study, it wasn't impossible. Those people were a little hesitant. They didn't want to miss such a good opportunity, but they didn't dare to act rashly. Both sides were in a deadlock. Sima Yue saw that they weren't leaving. She said to Cain and Xian, "Do you want them alive?" Chapter 2259. Cain and Xian was startled, as if he did not expect her to ask for his opinion. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows and shook her head. "No need. I know who they are. It was harder to kill them than to leave them alive." He was already very grateful that she was willing to save him. He did not want to cause any more trouble for her. Sima Yue had also guessed that he would do this. Since they came so openly, it meant that they knew each other and did not care about each other. Whether these people died or not, it did not affect Cain and Xian much. Then she disappeared from the tree. In just a few breaths, she appeared in front of Cain and Xian. When she stood still, the people behind her fell one after another, killed with one slash. Cain and Xian looked at the corpses in shock. Everyone's neck had been slit, and it all happened in an instant. "Are you all right?" Cain and Xian was shocked when he saw the woman smiling at him. Although she looked different, he instinctively called out, "Yue." This time, it was Sima Yue's turn to be shocked. She had changed her appearance, but he could still recognize her? Actually, Cain and Xian regretted calling out Sima Yue's name. How could he call out her name in front of someone else? They looked different. Who knew that the other party would smile after being startled for a while? Then, the lady he did not recognize immediately became the person he was familiar with. Seeing the two stunned people, Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. "What? You don't recognize me after not seeing me for a few decades?" "Yue? It's really you." Cain and Xian came back to his senses and was pleasantly surprised. "Why are you here? When did you come to the divine territory? Why didn't you look for us?" "I just came here not long ago. I just happened to encounter this situation, so I thought I'd come over to take a look." Sima Yue replied. "How did you recognize me just now?" "I actually did not recognize you either. It's just that when you smiled just now, it made me think of you." Cain and Xian said, a little embarrassed. "So that's how it is. I thought I wasn't good enough." Sima Yue recalled the 2 times Wu Qiao turned around to look at her. That guy was really sharp. "Thank you for saving our lives today. If you didn't come, then Yanji and I would probably be unable to escape this calamity," Jianan said gratefully. "However, I really never imagined that your strength would be so formidable now." Sima Yue didn't say that her strength came from someone else. She took out a bottle of pills and handed it to him. "Both of you are injured. Take these pills first." "Thank you." Jiananshin did not stand on ceremony. She took the pills and gave one to Yanji and one to herself. Only after the pills, they felt Yue's. "Sima Yue and Yue, let me show you." Sima Yue said. Cain and Xian, Yue's for a while. Yue to Yue and Yue Yun Yue. And then Yue's to Yue. Yue's. Cain and Xian shook his head. "No, I still have to save my little brother. His whereabouts are unknown. I was chased by these people. Now that they are dead, I have to find him." "Are you talking about Cain and Dan?" Sima Yue asked. "You know my little brother?" Cain and Xian looked at her in surprise. "I know him. He was with me before. I made arrangements for him before we entered the mountain. Don't worry, he is absolutely safe. In the spirit pagoda, no one could find him. Wasn't it absolutely safe? Why are you with your little brother?" Cain and Xian was shocked beyond words. He would never have thought that Cain and Dan would be with Sima Yue. Sima Yue told him how she met Cain and Dan, and brought him to find her brother. She also said that it was too dangerous to enter the mountain. She could only leave him somewhere else and enter the mountain herself. "It won't be too late for you to look for him after we leave. I'm sure he wouldn't want to see you injured." After Sima Yue finished speaking, Cain and Xian took a step back and bowed to her solemnly. Yanji, who was behind him, bowed as well. Sima Yue went forward to help him up. "What are you doing? It's just a small matter. A few years ago, my mother was set up when she was about to give birth. She passed away after giving birth to my little brother. Before she died, I promised my mother that I would take good care of him. When I heard that he was being chased that day, I wanted to save him. I didn't expect. Fortunately, I met you. If it wasn't for you, my little brother wouldn't be here anymore. I didn't have to trouble you to send him over from so far away, Kanan Exian explained. We are from the same sect after all. Since you call me senior granduncle, it's only right for me to help you. Sima Yue joked. Besides, I just came to the divine territory and didn't know what to do. Sending him over would be good for him to catch up with you. Kanan Exian knew that Sima Yue didn't want him to be too particular. Hence, he borrowed Sima Yue's strength to get up and ask some questions about the people who chased after them. Sima Yue told him about the few times they were chased after. She asked curiously, Do you have many enemies? Kanan Exian was confused by her question. Sima Yue pointed at the people on the ground and said, You should know who these people are, right? Kanan Exian nodded. The people who chased after us are not from the same group as these people, Sima Yue said. And they don't look like they are from the same group. Are you sure? It wasn't that Kanan Exian didn't believe her, but this news really surprised him. I still have the ability to differentiate, Sima Yue said confidently. Young master, could it be? Yanji's injuries were still very serious and his words were weak. Kanan Exian was catching up with his fellow sect member. He had been listening quietly and only spoke when he heard this. Kanan Exian's aura sank. He didn't say anything and had the same thoughts as Yanji. Sima Yue didn't take the initiative to ask. She and Kanan Exian were friends, but she didn't ask for help regarding his family matters. It wouldn't be good for her to ask too much. No matter what the situation is outside, you can't go out now. She reminded. I know. Kanan Exian nodded. I'll send the news back first and let my family members investigate. Yanji and I will rest here for 2 days before we leave. You're not going to investigate the tomb of the powerful people here? Sima Yue was a little surprised. Didn't they say that they were here to look for treasures? We've been in the mountains for a long time, but we haven't found any treasures or tombs. Since there's nothing here, we won't waste our time here, Kanan Exian said. Then follow me for the next 2 days. If they were left here, it would be troublesome if they got into a conflict with someone. Anyway, the 2 children had never seen them before and wouldn't recognize them. Chapter 2260. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiyao were brought over the mountains by the little old man. In order to find the mausoleum, the 3 of them had no choice but to walk. The little old man was a man of few words. Seeing that Wu Xiaodao was curious about everything, he did not say anything as he hopped around. It was just that his malicious gaze did not leave Wu Qiao's body. It could be seen that he was very anxious, but he did not rush him. Wu Qiao was currently facing a cliff in deep thought. The cliff that reached into the clouds seemed to have been split open by a blade. There was even a small pool at the bottom of the cliff. And he was standing near the pool, looking up at the cliff. He had maintained this posture for quite a while. Wu Xiaodao was bored from waiting, so she simply took out a fishing rod and started fishing by the pool. She even acted like she was baiting. She was just passing the time. She did not think that she would actually catch a few fish. Seeing these lively fish, she began to toss out food again. A pot of fish soup, a few grilled fish, and the rest were braised. They were placed on the table one by one. That leisurely appearance made it seem like he was not being controlled by someone, but was instead on a scenic tour. You've already been staring at this cliff for a long time. Have you seen anything? The little old man saw that Wu Qiao's posture did not change and finally could not help but ask. Wu Qiao turned around and glanced at him saying, The entrance to the mausoleum is here. Here? Are you sure? If you dare to trick me, I will immediately take your little lives. The little old man stared at the mountain for a while. There was nothing special about it. Could it be that because it looked like it was cut by someone, he said it was here? Facing his questioning gaze, Wu Qiao was not flustered. He pointed at the pool below and said, The entrance is below the pool. If you don't believe me, you can go down and take a look. You were staring at the mountain before, but now you say that the mausoleum is in the pool? The little old man clearly did not believe her words. I deduced that it is below. If you don't believe me, then there's nothing I can do, Wu Qiao said indifferently. The little old man stared at the pool for a while. He clearly felt that Wu Qiao's actions were too childish, but for some reason, he felt that his words were somewhat trustworthy. Wu Xiaodao finished cooking all the fish and waved her hand at Wu Qiao. Then she said to the little old man, "Grandpa, you are so powerful. Go down and take a look. You will know if what little Yao said is true. Little Yao Yao and I will eat fish here and wait for you. Don't even think about bringing us down. You know me. If we go down together, you might not be able to find the entrance. You're so powerful we won't run." The little old man was still a little hesitant. He had already experienced the misfortune in Wu Xiaodao's life. If he brought her down, there might really be a lot of trouble. But if he didn't bring her along, that kid wouldn't go down either. Moreover, it was still unknown whether this was the entrance to the mausoleum. He thought for a while, then casually set up a barrier, trapping them and the table. "If I can make it out safely, you can make it out." With that, he jumped down. Wu Xiaodao just finished eating a grilled fish and drank a bowl of fish soup. She put the rest of the grilled fish into Wu Qiao's bowl and gave him a bowl of fish soup. "Eat more. You've lost weight these days. If mother sees this, she'll say that I didn't take good care of you." Wu Qiao nodded and began to eat the fish. "Eat slowly. He won't be coming up for a while anyway. We'll leave after we finish eating." Wu Xiaodao sometimes still took care of him like a younger brother. She put one hand on the table and stared at Wu Qiao. "What's down there? How can you let him go down for so long?" Little Yao Yao was willing to sit down and eat fish, which meant that there was still plenty of time. "I don't know what it is, but there are fluctuations of spiritual power down there." Wu Qiao continued to eat the fish. Wu Xiaodao knew that Wu Qiao's senses were very sharp, so no matter what was down there, it probably wasn't a small thing. "Little Yao Yao, where are we going later?" Since he was the one who spread the news about this treasure, it means that it's fake. "Then let's walk around the mountain and see if we can find the real mausoleum." Wu Qiao was actually not very interested in the mausoleum, but since his sister liked it, he could only bring it along as a younger brother. "Then when you finish eating, we'll go walk around," Wu Xiaodao said with a smile. "I wonder what mother is doing right now, and if she misses us." Wu Qiao lowered his head to drink the fish soup, hiding the light in his eyes. Before Wu Qiao could finish eating, a group of people walked over to him. They were surprised to see two little guys eating by the pool. "Little sister, why do you need to use a barrier to eat?" a woman asked curiously. "We were locked up here," Wu Xiaodao replied with a smile. "Big sister, can you save us?" Unexpectedly, when those people heard her words, their expressions all changed. That woman still giggled and said, "Who locked you all up here? Where's the person who locked you up?" "He went down into the pool. Before he went down, he locked us up here." Wu Xiaodao looked at them pitifully. When they heard that someone went down into the water, those people's expressions became even uglier. For a moment, more than 10 people ignored the two of them and jumped into the water one after another, disappearing. "Is my charm that low now?" Wu Xiaodao touched his face. "Am I still past the time when everyone loves me and flowers bloom?" Wu Qiao didn't answer her, because at this time, someone ran over. Those people glanced at the two of them and jumped down without saying a word. As they jumped, they said, "That's right, it must be here. Fortunately, we're so close." "Little Yao Yao, you didn't hit the jackpot and really found the entrance to the mausoleum, did you?" Wu Xiaodao said in surprise. Wu Qiao pursed his lips. He really only felt that there were fluctuations of spiritual power below. "Little Yao Yao, after we finish eating, we'll also go down to see." Wu Xiaodao was very excited, but he didn't interrupt him from eating the fish. "We don't know what's going on down there, so we're not in a hurry to go down." Wu Xiaodao didn't urge him to hurry up and eat, which made him feel very happy. Although this sister always caused some trouble, she was very considerate towards her family. They just ate here, watching wave after wave of people go down, but none of them came up. The water in the pool was full and turned red. Every wave of people would look at them strangely, but they also knew from these people why this place was suddenly so lively. The divination sect leader personally said that the entrance to the mausoleum was under a blade landscape. Wasn't he talking about this place? That fraud is Fushi's second master, right? If that was the case, then Fushi and his master were both here? Should we tell mother that her friends are here? Wu Xiaodao asked. Chapter 2261. This news should have spread like wildfire by now. Mother might already know about it. Wu Qiao finished the last bit of the fish soup. Wu Xiaodao kept the bowls, chopsticks and table and asked, "Are we going down now?" Wu Qiao nodded. "Almost. There are many people down there now. If we go down now, we won't attract too much attention." "Then let's go." Wu Xiaodao took out a red bead. After injecting spiritual energy into it, he placed the bead on the barrier. As the bead emitted a red light, the barrier around the bead began to disappear. In a few moments, it completely collapsed. "This thing is really useful." Wu Xiaodao kept the bead. "Fortunately, Uncle Ming gave us this before we left. Otherwise, this barrier would be difficult to break. Let's go down." After Wu Qiao finished speaking, he pressed something on his belt, and a halo appeared around him, enveloping him from head to toe. Wu Xiaodao pressed something as well. When her protective barrier formed, the two of them jumped into the pool together. Not long after, Sima Yue and Jia Nanxin also arrived. She smiled when she saw the fish bones by the pool. These two little fellows were clearly kidnapped, but they were still so relaxed. "I didn't expect there to be a mausoleum here." Jia Nanxin sighed. He and Yanji had already recovered from their injuries. They were about to bid farewell to Sima Yue when they heard Master Jun's prophecy. Since there really was a mausoleum here, they had to take a look. "Let's go down." Sima Yue was worried about the two little fellows and jumped down first. Jia Nanxin wanted to remind her that she had already sunk to the bottom of the pool, without a protective barrier. The two of them hurriedly formed a protective barrier, and saw that she was completely fine. Upon closer inspection, there was a faint glow on her body that isolated her from the water. From above, it looked like a small pool. However, when they came down, they realized that there was another world here. Sima Yue used the faint glow to observe the surroundings. She waved at Jia Nanxin, and the three of them swam towards the cave at the side. There were many corpses floating in the water. Sima Yue nimbly avoided them. Not far ahead, Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao were also carefully avoiding the corpses. "Little Yao Yao, this place is too strange." Wu Xiaodao dodged a corpse and caught up to Wu Qiao. "So many people have died below, and we have been up there for so long but we haven't heard anything. It is indeed very strange. Stay close to me and don't run around." Wu Qiao turned around and warned her. "I know." Wu Xiaodao followed him closely, no longer running around. The two of them passed through the long and narrow cave. The deeper they went, the more corpses they saw. Those miserable deaths made people want to vomit. Fortunately, they had reached the end of the cave. They no longer had to endure being in the water with the corpses. "There's some kind of power in front that is blocking the water here," Wu Qiao said. "It's true." Wu Xiaodao stretched his neck to take a look. "Let's be careful." "And you walk behind me." Wu Qiao held Wu Xiaodao's hand, preventing any forces from separating them. The two of them carefully walked forward and came to the edge of the cave. The expected attack did not appear. The two of them held hands and jumped into the cave. It was very wide and deep. The two of them jumped down and felt as if they were supported by something. Then they landed steadily on the ground. It was very wide like a plaza. There were many corpses lying on the ground. Some of them were still warm. It was obvious that the battle had just ended. "Aren't these people too crazy? They haven't even entered, and they've already killed so many. If they go in and see the treasure, they'll kill until even their ancestors don't know." Wu Xiaodao curled his lips. At the entrance of the tomb, they've already lost their minds. They can't wait to kill everyone so that they can monopolize this tomb. Wu Qiao said indifferently. "What's more, this is the tomb of an almighty. Those people want to get some useful information from here, so that they can break through the monarch realm and enter eternal life." Pfft, is this really the tomb of an almighty? Since they're already eternal life, how can they still die? They even made such a tomb. Are these people stupid? Wu Xiaodao sneered. They have to have something to look forward to. Otherwise, they'll feel that life is hopeless. That's true. Wu Xiaodao agreed with his words. But our luck is really good. We didn't encounter any fights. With their current strength, if they encountered such a fight, they could only be cannon fodder. The two of them came to the entrance of the tomb. The door had already been opened, and there were two corpses lying at the entrance. Both of them had their eyes open. They died with grievances. They had already come here, but they didn't have a chance to go in. How could they be reconciled? I heard that these tombs have mechanisms. Will we be shot into a hole? Wu Xiaodao said with a smile. He wasn't afraid at all. Even if there are mechanisms, they would have been triggered by the people in front. At this time, the most dangerous thing is still the people. Wu Qiao replied. We're so weak. Maybe others won't deal with us. Wu Qiao glanced at her, and didn't respond to her baseless words. The two of them followed the direction of the corpses and walked in. Along the way, they would occasionally see a few corpses. Some were killed by people while others were killed by mechanisms. It seemed like they had made a wise decision to follow the path of others. This tomb is a bit strange. Wu Qiao looked at the corpses and said with a frown. How is it strange? Don't you think that there are too few mechanisms in this tomb? Wu Qiao asked. Although the two of them had been following behind others, it wasn't to the extent that they hadn't encountered any mechanisms. No matter how powerful the people in front were, it was impossible for them to destroy all the mechanisms. Wu Xiaodao didn't think so. Didn't we also encounter a fork in the road? Maybe we were lucky enough to choose a safer route. Besides, we've already come here. Can we not continue forward? Wu Xiaodao was right. They had already come here. They couldn't give up halfway. The two of them continued forward. They encountered several forks in the road. Every time, the two of them chose based on intuition. They didn't know if it was really as Xiaodao said. The two of them were very lucky. Anyway, the two of them didn't encounter any danger along the way. Wu Qiao felt around the wall for a while. He found a small spot that wasn't prominent and pressed it down. The stone room was opened. Wu Xiaodao saw the coffin in the stone room at the back. There were also 3 or 4 people. The originally tense atmosphere in the stone chamber was immediately eased by the appearance of the two of them. Chapter 2262. The people in the stone room were very surprised to see Wu Qiao and Wu Xiaodao. They had all gone through untold hardships to reach this step. Even if it was them, they were more or less injured. But these two little guys did not have any injuries on their bodies. Even their clothes were not wrinkled. The two of them walked through the dangerous mausoleum like it was flat ground. This was too inconceivable. Could it be that they were stronger than them? Impossible. The two of them were clearly only in their teens. How could they be two old monsters? The little old man saw that the two of them were unharmed and said, "How did you two get here?" "We walked over." Wu Xiaodao's question made people stumble. "How is that possible? You two are not injured at all. Who would believe that you walked over like this?" A woman shouted. "Old Eight, you know them?" A tall and thin old man asked. A pair of eyes swept over Wu Xiaodao's body. Wu Xiaodao did not like this feeling. "I know them." The little old man told them about how he caught them. "Are you sure they don't have any strength? Your barrier is so powerful. If they really did what you said, how could they come out of the barrier?" The woman questioned his words. "Gee, it's just a barrier. What's so difficult about it? You want to trap us with it? You're too naive." Wu Xiaodao sneered. "How did you come out of my barrier?" The little old man asked in a deep voice. "No matter what barrier it is, a knot-breaking bead was enough to solve it," Wu Xiaodao said proudly. "These two little guys are too strange. I think we should first deal with them before we talk about opening the coffin." The middle-aged man who had not spoken until now stared at Wu Qiao and said, "These two children gave people a very strange feeling." He was not sure who was behind these two children. Compared to these familiar old guys, it was better to deal with these two unstable factors first. The little old man was a bit hesitant. Wu Qiao still had some ability. If it were not for him, he would not have been the first to come to the mausoleum. If he kept him, he might be useful in the future. But looking at the other 3 people, They did not want to keep them. If he insisted on keeping them, he would become enemies with the other three. They did not form an alliance. If the three of them fought against him because of this, he had no chance of winning. Therefore, after struggling for a while, he agreed to their suggestion. Wu Qiao pulled Wu Xiaodao behind him and looked at the four-peak monarch rank people who were emitting killing intent without showing any fear. His aura made it seem as if he was the one overlooking the world. This caused the four of them to be shocked, and they were even more certain that they were not ordinary people. The more unusual they were, the more they had to be dealt with as soon as possible to avoid more trouble. Just as they were about to make a move, the stone door in the other direction was opened. Three people who looked to be in a sorry state, but were not injured, walked in from the outside. It seems that our speed is still relatively slow. Cain and Xian quickly sized up the people in the room and recognized two of them. Since the other two were able to confront them, it meant that their strength was about the same as theirs. Sima Yue looked at Wu Qiao and Wu Xiaodao. Both of them were unscathed, which made her heart settle down. This mausoleum was very strange. If the two of them encountered any danger, she might not be able to rush to their side immediately. Looking at how Wu Qiao was protecting Wu Xiaodao with one hand and forming a seal with the other, she immediately understood the situation before they came. These people actually wanted to kill the two of them. The woman glanced at Sima Yue and the other two and did not put them in her eyes. They were not powerful people, so there was no need to care. On the contrary, it was better to deal with these two children of unknown origin first. She condensed her spiritual power and attacked Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao. Because they were in the tomb, the power she used was small after all, but it was still not something that the two children could resist. However, the power was swallowed by a black fog when it approached them. The black fog gradually gathered and slowly formed the appearance of a man. It was Xiao He who had transformed into a human. Xiao He looked at the woman and attacked in a flash. He actually forced the woman to the point where she was unable to fight back. They actually had such a powerful person by their side. They were indeed not ordinary people. When the middle-aged man saw this, he would not let them go. While Xiao He and the woman were fighting, he attacked Wu Qiao. Air came down from Wu Xiaodao's arm and caught the middle-aged man's palm. Because both of them were not weak, the mausoleum trembled. However, he did not know what the almighty person used to build the mausoleum. It did not collapse even after such a fight. It was no wonder that they were not afraid at all when they had two people who were at the peak of the monarch rank by their side. It was no wonder that the two little fellows did not panic when they were held hostage for a few days. It turned out that they had such a thing to rely on. But since they had such powerful people by their side, why were they willing to follow him for so long? The little old man stared at Wu Qiao and Wu Xiaodao, wanting to see the answer from them. Old 8, what are you still standing there for? If we don't kill these two people, we will leave behind trouble in the future. The thin and tall man shouted at the little old man. The little old man was a little tempted. The man saw that he was still hesitating and his figure moved, about to attack Wu Qiao. You four old men are bullying two children. This is shameless to a certain extent. Sima Yue crossed her arms in front of her chest and said faintly, "If you don't want to die, don't get involved." The thin and tall man shouted, "I really want to get involved. What can you do to me?" Sima Yue shouted, "I will deal with you after I take care of those two people." The thin and tall man glanced at her and turned to attack Wu Qiao. Jia Nanxin saw the killing intent in the man's eyes. This was a peak of the monarch rank. Why did she want to get involved? But before he could say anything, she disappeared from his side. The thin and tall man flew over to attack Wu Qiao in an instant. But the two people who were in front of them just now disappeared. Looking at the empty stone room door, he was stunned. "With your speed, you are still a little slow." A faint voice came from behind, shouting with undisguised sarcasm. He turned around and saw Sima Yue standing in the same place, as well as Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao beside her. Everyone was shocked. How did this person do it? But the next scene was even more shocking. They saw Wu Xiaodao hugging Sima Yue. His eyes instantly turned red as he shouted at her, "Mother, when did you come to the mountain? I missed you so much." What? This woman was the mother of these two children? Jia Nanxin was stunned by the scene in front of her. Sima Yue didn't push this little girl away. Was she really their mother? Chapter 2263. Sima Yue hugged Wu Xiaodao and patted her back. Mother has always been here. Ah, mother has always been here? Wu Xiaodao was stunned. She looked at Wu Qiao. He was not surprised at all and said, Little Yao Yao, you know that mother has always been following us. Yes. Wu Qiao replied. If he did not know that Sima Yue was beside them, he would not have been so calm from the beginning. Little Yao Yao, you didn't even tell me. Wu Xiaodao was unhappy. Why did he know but she did not? All right, now is not the time to talk about this. Sima Yue comforted her. Let's settle the matter here first. Yes, I'll deal with you later. Wu Xiaodao glared at Wu Qiao and stood beside Sima Yue obediently. Yue, you really have children? Jia Nanxin was shocked. Yes, this is Xiaodao, this is little Yao Yao. Sima Yue pointed at Jia Nanxin and said, Call him Uncle Jia Nanxin. Uncle Jia Nanxin. The two children said in unison. Good children. Jia Nanxin nodded at them. The little old man and the tall skinny man looked at Sima Yue. They no longer looked down on her after she saved them. Old 8, are you still going to stand by and do nothing? The tall skinny man asked. But the tall skinny man alone might not be able to deal with Sima Yue, so the little old man had to take action this time. Jia Nanxin and Yan Ji could be ignored. They could definitely deal with Sima Yue together. This place is so small, I think it's better if we don't fight. Jia Nanxin said. If this place collapses, not only will everyone be injured, we will also not be able to get the inheritance. 1 against 2, he was worried that Sima Yue would not be able to handle it. Mother, forget it, let's go? Wu Qiao said. Sima Yue looked at Wu Qiao. He winked at her and nodded. Then let's go. Mi-Er, Nameless, come back. Mi-Er and Xiaohei obviously had the upper hand. When they heard Sima Yue's order, they returned without hesitation. Mother, let's go that way. Wu Xiaodao pointed at the path they came from. Kanan Xian and Yanji were only able to come this far because of Sima Yue. They had also obtained some treasures on their way here. They knew that they would not be able to obtain anything in the end, so they did not hesitate to leave with them. The little old man and the others stared at them as they left. No one said anything to stop them. If they were to fight against these people, they might not necessarily win. Now that they had taken the initiative to leave, the 4 of them did not have to worry about them snatching the inheritance. After he left, the 4 of them returned to their initial confrontation. However, it was different now because 2 of them were injured by Mi-Er and Xiaohei. The lanky man and the small old man looked at each other and attacked the remaining 2 people at the same time. The 4 of them were originally evenly matched, but because of the interlude, the balance was broken. Sima Yue knew that once they left, the 4 of them would definitely fight. However, this had nothing to do with them anymore. Wu Qiao led the group back the way they came. They did not encounter any danger along the way. When they were about to leave the tomb, they met a few people. When those people saw them, their first reaction was to go forward and rob them. However, they were all killed by Mi-Er and Xiaohei. When they reached the pool, there were even more corpses here. The entire pool was densely packed and it made one's scalp tingle. Seeing those corpses, Sima Yue frowned and called little birdie out. Even though it was in the water, it quickly burned those corpses and burned a path. What they did not know was that when little birdie came out, a few closed eyes opened together. He was back. Sima Yue and the rest came out of the pool. Little birdie returned to her body. Qian suddenly sent her a message. Don't reveal my aura in the future. Sima Yue was shocked. What's wrong? Qian told her about how he was discovered. Sima Yue was a little regretful. Why didn't you stop me just now? What if she really brought trouble to him because of her? You don't have to worry. I deliberately let them discover me. Qian's voice was colder than before. I haven't been back for so many years. I want to see how powerful they are. However, because he was not confident and did not know the current situation in the divine territory, Sima Yue could not reveal his aura. I understand. Sima Yue replied. However, since they can discover that you are back, then Fushi. He has not completely evolved into the green dragon. Therefore, they will not take him seriously. Moreover, he has people protecting him. What Qi Yan did not say was that one of the important reasons why they let Fushi go was because only the green dragon was here. Moreover, his power had not been inherited. However, now that he was here, they would pay more attention to him. Mother, what are you thinking about? Wu Xiaodao held Sima Yuyue's hand. You don't look good at all. I prefer Mother's look. Sima Yuyue removed her fusion with Thousand Resonance and returned to her original appearance. Mother, did you turn into a lot of people and follow us? Wu Xiaodao said with certainty. Your brother is much more sensitive than you. Sima Yue said. He only knows how to play. He doesn't even know that someone is following us. Wu Xiaodao laughed. She was indeed not as sensitive as little Yao Yao. However, she also knew that Sima Yue and Wu Qiao did not tell her because they wanted her to play freely. Oh right, little Yao Yao. Why did you let us out just now? The coffin is empty. There is nothing inside. Wu Qiao said. I see. You are right. We came here for nothing. Wu Xiaodao thought about how she did not get anything this time, and felt a little depressed. Jianan Xian sized up Wu Qiao. She did not know why he was so sure. Sima Yue and Wu Xiaodao did not even need to check before believing him. Since we have entered the tomb, let's go out. Little Dan is still waiting for us outside. Sima Yue said. Jianan Xian heard Jianan Dan's name and nodded in agreement. They had originally planned to leave. Now that they were able to get some treasures in the tomb, it was already an unexpected surprise. He was also quite satisfied. Then I will call Little Roar and the rest back. Sima Yue was just about to contact Little Roar when she heard him crying for help. Little Yu, come quickly. We are going to be caught and eaten. Little Roar cried. Sima Yue sensed for a moment and her face darkened. She said to Jianan Xian and Yanji, wait for me here. As soon as she finished speaking, her figure suddenly vanished on the spot without the slightest fluctuation. And this scene caused Jianan to be extremely shocked. In these few decades, how much had she grown? Chapter 2264. Sima Yue and Little Roar were not far from each other, so it did not take long for them to reach there. When she came out of the space and saw the scene in front of her, she shivered. She saw hundreds of people surrounding Little Seven and the rest, and even used some medicine on them, making everyone else immobile except for Little Hua. Little Hua was strong, but he could not withstand so many people, and there were still people coming from afar. Very good. Yue was anxious, so she hid her presence in the air, and then used the top-grade purple lightning in her body to attract the lightning tribulation. Those people were still chasing after them. And when Little Seven and the rest saw the tribulation cloud above their heads, their eyes were filled with joy. Yu was here, they were saved. The people on the ground did not notice the dark clouds above their heads at first, as they were all excited. The eye of the earth, just a little bit would help them increase their strength. Seeing Little Seven like this, she probably had quite a few original bodies. They did not want to monopolize it. Even if they could get a share of it, it would be good. When they felt a different energy locking onto them, they woke up from their dream and looked up at the tribulation cloud in the sky. They knew that they were locked onto by the tribulation cloud and immediately panicked. Why is there a tribulation cloud? So many people. It was not known who shouted, but everyone recovered from their shock and became even more panicked. With so many strong people gathered together, how strong would the tribulation cloud be? Who exactly attracted the lightning tribulation? Ha ha ha, who asked you to poison me? This time, I'll let you have a taste of being barbecued. Little Roar laughed. Although he could not use his spiritual energy, his voice was still loud, and in this chaotic space, it could still be heard very far. What? This tribulation cloud was actually related to them? Although the people outside saw the tribulation cloud, they had already entered, and were locked onto in an instant. Thus, the tribulation cloud's range became bigger and bigger, and the energy became stronger and stronger. Those with fast eyes and quick reactions saw that the tribulation cloud had stopped, and the number of people who entered the tribulation decreased. At this time, those who were flying in the sky had already landed on the ground, as if they were thinking that if they were shorter, the tribulation cloud might strike those who were taller first. In this way, everyone saw Sima Yue who was standing in the sky, her eyes filled with killing intent. Yu, you're finally here. If you didn't come, you wouldn't have been able to see us again. Woo woo woo. Little Roar howled sadly. Sima Yue waved her hand and a force swept the beasts into the air. She took out an antidote and fed it to them. Once the poison was cured, they would be able to stand by her side. Xiaohua transformed into a little doll and stood beside her. Thank you for your hard work. Sima Yue patted Xiaohua's head and praised him. These people poisoned little Seven and the others. This poison was overbearing. No matter if it was plant type or animal type, they couldn't use spiritual energy. Therefore, it could be said that Xiaohua was the only one protecting them along the way. Xiaohua was not happy to be praised. Xiaohua is still not strong enough. If he had been stronger, no one would have been injured. You're already very good, Sima Yue said. Go back when the lightning tribulation starts. Now we can watch the ugliness of those people in the face of death. Who are you? Why did you attract the lightning tribulation? Someone shouted. Those panicking people quieted down and stared at Sima Yue with hatred. Uft! Sima Yue was so angry that she laughed. She moved her mind and a small throne appeared behind her. She sat on it and bent down to look at the people below. Before you ask such a childish question, did you ask yourself if you brought your brain with you? You poisoned my contracted beasts and chased them here. The one who asked this question, tell me, why did I attract the lightning tribulation? You. What about me? You wanted to kill my contracted beasts. Didn't you think that someone would kill you? Sima Yue didn't give that person any time to reply. She sneered. I just don't know if you can bear the result. Do you know who we are? Aren't you afraid of revenge for killing like this? Someone threatened. Why do I need to know who you are? Little Purple appeared in her arms, and her hand caressed its back, looking extremely lazy. She had a smile on her face, but it was like a devil's snare blooming in hell. No matter who you are, it's the same to me. Anyone who dares to have ideas about my spirit beasts only has one identity, my enemy. So don't say such childish words. The tribulation clouds in the sky were still thickening. This meant that the lightning tribulation was still getting stronger. The people below were scared out of their wits. But they couldn't leave. They could only see if they had any way to survive. The lightning tribulation here had attracted the attention of the entire Dear God Mountain. This level of lightning tribulation was going to destroy the entire Dear God Mountain. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao saw the tribulation clouds and shouted, "Not good, someone made Mother angry." After saying that, the two of them flew towards the tribulation clouds. Jiananshin and Yinji were worried about them and also flew over. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao flew outside the tribulation clouds and stopped. Seeing the densely packed people, they were worried. Little Yao Yao, will Mother be okay? She won't be. Wu Qiao didn't know how these people offended Sima Yue, but they must have angered her quite a bit. That's why she chose to use this method to deal with them. The tribulation clouds in the sky almost reached the ground. This was the first time in the divine realm that something like this had happened. A bolt of lightning struck down. It didn't hit Sima Yue, but instead, it struck the people below. With the first bolt, the rest of the tribulation lightning struck down one after another. It was like a rain of lightning. This scene shocked the people outside who were watching the show. Sima Yue sat on the small throne and looked at the various reactions of the people below. The large bolts of lightning were absorbed by Little Purple when they landed on her body. The normal bolts of lightning circled around her body and fell into the spirit pool. Everyone else was struck into charcoal, but she was completely fine. Mother's clothes were specially refined for the lightning tribulation. How could they be burnt? Wu Xiaodao said proudly. Jiananshin looked at Sima Yue who was in the middle of the lightning tribulation. She didn't know how to look at her martial granduncle anymore. Thinking of the time when she was in the hidden sect, and thinking of her strength this time, she sympathized with these people. Of all the people they could provoke, they had to provoke her. The lightning tribulation struck for a whole day tirelessly, killing and crippling those people. Only then did the cloud spirit pat its butt and leave. Thousands of people fell to the ground. This time it was a real black mass. Sima Yue got up and kept the small throne. She carried little Purple in her arms and said faintly, "If you're not convinced, you can come and find me. Anyway, I haven't attracted lightning to temper my body in a long time." After saying that, she suddenly appeared in front of Wu Xiaodao and the rest. Then, she left with Wu Xiaodao and the rest, leaving behind a ground of charcoal. Chapter 2265. The trees on Mount Dear God were chopped down, and the ground was scorched. The corpses were beyond recognition, and could not be identified. This tragic scene was unforgettable for the rest of their lives. As for the culprit, she was still elegantly dressed. She left with her people, leaving them with a clear and beautiful back view. Those people wanted to get the Eye of Earth, but were shocked by her move, and did not dare to act recklessly. What a joke! Who would dare to go up to someone who was unharmed in such a strong lightning tribulation? Wasn't that just seeking death? What if she was in a bad mood, and attracted the lightning tribulation again? Who could escape unscathed? Thinking of little Seven and the rest, they were not satisfied. Such a treasure was actually someone else's contracted beast. How good would it be if they could get it? Sima Yue brought the group out of Mount Dear God, and came out of the space. Sima Yue called out a few beasties, wanting to ask about what happened. "Little Roar, are you being playful again?" Sima Yue asked with a solemn face. Little Roar had been holding back his anger. He felt that he was the one who wanted Little Seven to go with them. At that time, he thought that Little Seven was strong and would be safe with her. If he did not bring it up, it would not have led to such a situation and implicated everyone. Although he was saved in the end, he still felt very guilty. Now that Sima Yue asked, he started crying. You can't blame Little Roar for this." Little Dream said, "We were in the mountains previously and heard about the tomb from those spirit beasts. Little Roar did not do anything overboard. It was a coincidence that Little Seven's identity was discovered. We did not expect that someone with such mediocre strength would be able to sniff out Little Seven's real body." "That's true. There were many people and Little Seven's identity was spread." Huahua spoke up for Little Roar. "Little Yu, I'm sorry. If I did not insist on going out, it would not have led to such a situation." Little Seven lowered her head and clenched her fists in regret. They all knew that if Little Seven's identity was exposed, it would bring a lot of trouble to Sima Yue. So they all blamed themselves. Since this matter has already been discovered, let's not think about it anymore. Sima Yue hugged Little Roar. As for Little Seven, I want to see how many people are willing to sacrifice their lives for treasures. When Kanan Xian saw the murderous intent emanating from her body, she thought about how she had killed so many people without expending a single soldier. She knew it was because she was angry, but she did not expect it to be because of her contracted beast. No one knew who this Little Seven was to actually attract so many people to fight over her. Soon he received the news. Little Seven looked at the girl who was about the same age as Wu Xiaodao. She didn't expect her to be the Eye of Earth. When they returned to the inn, Sima Yue asked him to wait for a while. She went out and soon returned with Kanan Dan. When Kanan Dan saw Kanan Xian, she ran over excitedly and hugged him. "Brother, I've finally met you." Kanan Xian's usually cold face finally revealed a trace of a smile when he saw Kanan Xian. However, it was fleeting, and in the next second, he returned to his cold expression. Not only that, he even pulled Kanan Dan from his body and slapped his butt twice. He shouted, "Do you know your mistake?" Kanan Dan's excited little face immediately collapsed. She lowered her head and admitted her mistake. "I heard that you were in danger, so? Do you know how many guards you've lost by coming out so rashly? If you hadn't met Yue coincidentally and brought you here, do you think you'd still be alive? If something were to happen to you, what would I do? What would the family do?" Kanan Xian reprimanded. Kanan Dan thought about the guards who had died and blamed himself. He cried out, "I didn't want them to die, but they're all dead. It's all my fault. Woo woo woo, big brother, I was wrong. Before this, he did not shed a single tear in front of Sima Yue. Now that he saw his family, the fear and self-blame in his heart gushed out. He hugged Kanan Xian and cried. Kanan Xian sighed. In the end, it was because he wasn't strong enough that he couldn't protect him. Sima Yue gave him a look and opened the door to leave. Wu Xiaodao came out from the room next door. He looked at Sima Yue and said, Mother, are we going back to Kanan's house with him? Sima Yue shook her head. We're not going. We'll go back to the Chan family first. Mother, why do you want to go back to the Chan family? Wu Xiaodao asked curiously. I have nothing to do anyway, Sima Yue said and went back to her room. Wu Xiaodao shrank into Wu Qiao's room and said, Little Yao Yao, do you know why Mother wants to go back to the Chan family? Mother is the young master of the Nine Nether clan. What's so strange about going back? Wu Qiao said lightly. Mother didn't say that she wanted to go back. Maybe she changed her mind. Wu Qiao said, she's going back anyway. It's just that it's early. If you're really curious, you can ask Mother. Wu Xiaodao pursed his lips. Mother would tell her. Why would she ask him? In less than 2 days, Kanan's people came looking for them. Sima Yue saw the huge group of people and knew that Kanan Xian and the rest could go back without a problem. Yue sister, come to our place to play when you're free. Kanan Xian couldn't bear to part with Yue and the rest. Her little eyes were red. Okay. Kanan Xian nodded at Sima Yue and left with her people. Sima Yue called Chanjiu out. He was familiar with the divine territory and naturally knew how to get to the Chan family. However, before they left the inn, they met the first group of people who came to snatch Little Seven. Maybe it was because they were afraid of her ability to pass the tribulation. Those people attacked without saying a word. It was as if they didn't want to give her a chance to trigger the lightning tribulation. This woman wasn't very strong. As long as they didn't give her a chance to trigger the lightning tribulation, they would definitely be able to kill her. As long as she died, the Eye of the Earth would be without an owner. They attacked fiercely the moment they arrived. Sima Yue obviously knew what they were trying to do. However, if they wanted to kill her with this kind of strength, they were dreaming too much. Sima Yue called Mi Air and the rest out. The few of them each took on a few people and finished off all the people who came. These people are really fast. Looks like we have to leave this place quickly. Sima Yue kept them into the spirit pagoda and took out a small throne to sit on. After sitting on it, she disappeared immediately. Not long after she left, thousands of people came to the inn. They were all people who came from Dear God Mountain. When they surrounded the inn and saw the corpses, they knew that Sima Yue had escaped. They were all filled with regret. Chapter 2266. Liao City wasn't very eye-catching in the divine realm, because there weren't any particularly powerful forces here. That wasn't right either. This place used to be very prosperous before the Nine Nether clan declined. Sima Yue didn't find Chan Shan immediately after arriving at Liao City. Instead, she found an inn to stay in. Wu Xiaodao leaned on Sima Yue, holding her hand and resting her head on her shoulder. This was her favorite action since she was young. Mother, why aren't we going back now that we're here? She realized that she didn't know what her mother was thinking ever since she came out of Dear God Mountain. She was the one who said she wanted to come back, but she didn't go back after coming back. She didn't understand. Let's meet 2 people first before going back. Sima Yue patted her hand. This is the Chan family's territory. If you and Xiao Yao Yao want to go out, you can go out and play. Wu Xiaodao rolled her eyes and said with a smile. Okay. Xiao Yao Yao, come out with me. Wu Qiao got up and followed her out. When they were outside, he asked, What do you want to do now? Let's find father? Wu Xiaodao said. I have a feeling that mother is going to do something later. With father around, no one can bully mother. Wu Qiao smiled. It's rare for you to be smart for once. What's smart for once? I'm very smart. Wu Xiaodao shook her fist at her brother. Since you agree with my idea, let's contact father. It will probably take him a few days to settle the matters at hand. No need, I've already told father. Wu Qiao said. You've already told father? When? Why didn't you tell me? Wu Xiaodao was angry. A few days ago. You didn't think of this yourself. If I told you, you would have turned around and told mother. Wu Qiao stared at his sister. He knew her personality too well. Wu Xiaodao pouted and didn't refute his words. She continued. Then is father coming over soon? Will he not be able to put aside his matters and come over? He won't. Wu Xiaodao said with certainty. What did you tell father? After mother came to the divine realm, many wild bees and butterflies appeared around her. A few of them were not bad. Didn't you want to go shopping? Let's go. After Wu Qiao finished speaking, he walked out. Wu Xiaodao thought about what he said and happily chased after him. That's a good idea. Yes. But since you're doing this behind my back, you'll have to accompany me for a while. All right. Xiao Yao Yao, you have such a cold personality. Can you find a wife in the future? Sima Yue was in the room. When she saw the two little guys leave, she wasn't that worried. However, she still let Chanjiu follow them. Ever since she left Dear God Mountain, she knew that many people were searching for her whereabouts. These people wanted to take advantage of Little Seven, but it was still a small matter, so she didn't care. What she cared about was the other group of people walking in the god's domain, the people from the four palaces. On the way to Liao City, she noticed that almost every city had people from the four palaces. Taotai Palace, Cheongqi Palace, Primal Chaos Palace, and Nightmare Palace. Moreover, they didn't hide their movements from the world, so everyone knew what the four palaces were up to. For them to move out together was something that hadn't happened in tens of thousands of years. For a moment, everyone was anxious. Many people guessed that something big was going to happen in the god's domain. Sima Yue knew what they were looking for. The divine bird Vermilion Bird's aura had appeared. Others might not have noticed it, but the four old monsters would definitely sense it. The four ferocious beasts and the four divine beasts were old enemies. Last time, they used some unknown method to defeat the four divine beasts, and allowed them to rule the god's domain. They all thought that the Vermilion Bird was dead. They didn't expect it to return after so many years. She sat by the window and watched the people coming and going below until a few people appeared silently in the room. Seeing that she wasn't surprised, they raised their eyebrows. You were waiting for us? Master Jun, I've long heard of your name. Sima Yue stood up and bowed. You knew we were coming? The man in the lead was Fushi's second master, the divinator Jun Bai. Jun Bai's aura was different from Yin Lin, Hong Yuan, and Xiao Tong. He didn't have an unfathomable look. His chubby body and smiling face looked very down to earth. Jun Bai looked at her with a smile and sized her up. Little girl, I've finally met you. Sima Yue smiled. Is Fushi doing well? He's in seclusion, going through the final awakening and inheritance. Before you came. Jun Bai said. When he comes out, he won't be that little guy anymore. When he comes out, the divine dragon will return and the four seas will submit to him. The four palaces will let him complete it smoothly? Sima Yue didn't expect Fushi to be at the most critical moment. They were so nervous about Qi Yan. If Fushi came, they wouldn't sit still. The four palaces naturally won't, but aren't you helping? Jun Bai said. Sima Yue was stunned for a moment, then understood. That day, the four great beasts sensed Qi Yan's aura and disappeared in an instant. They naturally sent more people to track him down. This way, Fushi's side would have an easier time. That day, I just wanted to alert the enemy. I didn't expect it to be so effective. She smiled. But this is good. Your situation isn't optimistic. Jun Bai found a seat and sat down, as if he was familiar with them. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. This person wanted to find trouble for her the moment he appeared? Don't look at me like that. Jun Bai said as he took out 2 walnuts and started cracking them. He really looked like Fushi in the past. The people he brought didn't react at all. They were probably used to it. Jun Bai cracked open a walnut and said as he picked out the pulp. Originally, I didn't want to tell you all this when you came, but you don't have the time now and are too weak. If those guys catch hold of you and destroy you one by one, you won't have a chance to turn things around. These years, The 4 palaces have become more and more powerful. Previously, there were still some righteous forces, such as the Jiuyo clan and the Canaan family. Unfortunately, they're all gone now. So, if you want to completely defeat the 4 great beasts, you still need the 4 great divine beasts to gather. It seems like you want me to find the other 2 divine beasts? Sima Yue immediately guessed his purpose. Junbai gave her a look that said, "You're so smart. There's a connection between the 4 great divine beasts, and can deduce the location of the other 2. So you really need to do this. Then why didn't you use Fushi to find them before?" Sima Yue asked. Chapter 2267. Junbai sighed. That sigh was filled with sorrow. Back then, Fushi was in a critical situation and almost didn't make it in time. Fortunately, they were still luckier. Feeling emotional, Junbai's tone became heavier. Fushi hasn't completed his final awakening, so he can't be considered a true divine dragon. The divination can't be very accurate. Even when I went to find you last time, it was because you had interacted with Yuan Xiaojia. It's possible to wait for him to come out this time, but you don't have that much time. Moreover, among the 4 divine beasts, the vermilion bird is the leader. He has an extraordinary relationship with the other 3. With his aura, the divination will naturally be accurate. I see. Sima Yue nodded. So, you've divined the whereabouts of the other 2 divine beasts? If I had, I wouldn't have to make this trip. Junbai shook his head. When I do the divination, I need the vermilion bird to be present. Oh. Sima Yue understood. But not now. Once Qi Yin came out, the 4 divine beasts would be able to sense his aura. If she called Qi Yin out now, she would have to leave this place in the shortest time possible. She hadn't returned to the Chan family yet, and didn't know the situation there. She didn't know if she could leave early, so she had to wait. Okay. Junbai's small hammer paused. You'll have 1 more person when the time comes, so it'll be safer. Sima Yue didn't ask him who the extra person was, but from the looks of it, he had just sensed it. Master Jun, I want to ask you something, she said. Go ahead. Junbai answered casually, not even raising his head. Asking a divination operator like him wasn't an ordinary question. Do you know about the Dark Dragon Guard? Sima Yue asked. Junbai's small hammer suddenly couldn't hit anymore. He hesitated for a moment, then kept the walnuts. Clapping his hands, he said, "Let me do a divination for you." Sima Yue was a little surprised. She only wanted to ask about the Dark Dragon Guard to see if he knew about that dark thing. Why did he suddenly want to do a divination for her? Junbai didn't say much. He took out a fortune-telling tool and began to calculate. Sima Yue did not disturb him and sat down beside him. Junbai looked at the divination and frowned. He raised his head and glanced at Sima Yue. He seemed to hesitate for a moment, but also seemed to have made a decision. He pointed at the tea table and said, "Extend your hand here." This was the first time he had seen a fortune-telling that required the hands of the person involved. Sima Yue muttered under her breath, but she still obediently let go of his hand. She originally thought that he was deliberately mystifying her, but when she put her hand in, she felt a guiding force lingering around her hand. She stared at her hands curiously. Pfff. Junbai spat out a mouthful of blood, scaring those people into hurriedly running over. They took out a pill and fed it to him. Sima Yue didn't expect Junbai to vomit blood so quickly. Seeing that he was much better after taking the pill, she said guiltily, "I'm sorry, I didn't know it would be so serious." Junbai didn't say anything. He just looked straight at her with a complicated expression. Sima Yue saw him like this and her heart skipped a beat. She said, "What's wrong? Could it be that I can't find black tortoise and white tiger?" "No." Junbai coughed. "The Dark Dragon Guard does have some history with you, but this time you can go without worry. He doesn't have the time to deal with you now. They will help you delay." She didn't know who they were, but she knew that if he said this, he must be confident. There was no other reason. Once she was found by Xian Xiuhe, the matter of finding white tiger and black tortoise would be ruined. Junbai and those people wouldn't let this happen. "We don't have anything to do these days. We'll just wait for you here. After Junbai finished speaking, the people behind him went to find the shopkeeper and asked for a small independent courtyard. After Sima Yue left, the people behind Junbai asked, "Master, are you all right?" "It's quite serious." Junbai sat down with the help of a chair and touched his chest, looking as if he was very hurt. "Master, why do we have to stay?" Another person asked. They didn't plan to stay and follow her. This was a decision he just made. "I'm already injured. Of course I have to stay and recuperate." Junbai snorted. "Give the order. Let them delay the Dark Dragon Guard. No matter what price they have to pay, before the 4 great divine beasts return, they must not let the Dark Dragon Guard find trouble with her." "Yes, master." The 2 of them left, leaving Junbai alone. He sighed deeply and muttered, "This world is finally going to change. Little girl, this is your tribulation and also your life. After millions of years of reincarnation, it's finally going to return." Sima Yue returned to her own house. She wasn't as relaxed as she appeared to be just now. Junbai was a divine fortune teller. He vomited blood and got injured just from a divination. This meant that his divination wasn't an ordinary one. He must have divined some heavenly secret. Heavenly secret related to her. She thought of the heavenly Tao. Could it be that Xianqiuhe's matter was related to the heavenly Tao? Although she had her guesses, she didn't ask Junbai. Even if she asked, it was useless. He wouldn't tell her. When Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao returned from outside, she brought the 2 little fellows to bid farewell to Junbai. Junbai saw the 2 little fellows and raised his eyebrows. He patted his round face and praised, "Not bad, not bad. Master Jun, let's go back to the Chan family to take a look. If there's nothing else, I'll come back to find you." Sima Yue said. "No rush. When the time is right, I'll contact you," Junbai replied. "That's good too." Sima Yue didn't know what time he was talking about. She guessed that it wouldn't be too long. "I heard from Fushi that the principal was with you. I wonder where he is now." "Yuan Xiaojie and Feng Rian are at Luoya Palace. You don't have to worry," Junbai said. He thought for a while and added, "Before you return, the people around you are fine. You don't have to worry." Sima Yue's heart skipped a beat. "Before I return they are fine. Why does this sound a little strange? All right, let's go. These old bones of mine won't delay your family's reunion." Junbai was afraid that she would ask him about something and said, "Family's reunion?" Sima Yue thought that he meant that he was going back to the Chan family. She only knew the true meaning of his words when they left the inn. Under the big tree opposite the inn, a man in a purple robe with an enchanting face watched the 3 of them come out. Sima Yue was stunned. She smiled and walked over. "Why are you here? Have you settled the matters in the Devil Realm?" Chapter 2268. Fly Swatter? Sima Yue was stunned for a moment before she reacted. It must have been the 2 little fellows who said it. "How long can you stay?" "Very long." Sima Yue's smile deepened. "Father, you're not going back to the devil world, right?" Wu Xiaodao went up to hold Wu Lingyu's arm. The matters in the devil world have been settled. There's no need to go back," Wu Lingyu said. All these years he had been handling matters in the devil world. After the chaos he needed to restore order. Now that those matters were back on track, he naturally did not need to stay in the devil world. Originally he was almost done with the matters on hand, but not so early. When he received the news from Wu Qiao, he handed over the last few matters to Hong Yuan and rushed over without stopping. However, it seemed that he was fooled by the little fellow. "That's good. We're going to the Chan family. You can come along," Sima Yue said. "Okay." He nodded and glanced at Wu Qiao. Chanjiu brought them to the Chan family. When the Chan family heard about the lightning tribulation on Dear God Mountain, they guessed that Sima Yue had come to the divine realm. However, they did not expect her to come to the Chan family so quickly. The gatekeepers had never seen Sima Yue before, but they knew Chanjiu. They also knew that Chanjiu was ordered to protect Sima Yue. Hence, when they saw him and the people beside him, they guessed Sima Yue's identity. "Young master is back." quickly informed the clan leader. I'll go, I'll go. Two of the gatekeepers ran in. The others came up and bowed to Sima Yue. Greetings to young master, right emissary. Everyone get up. Sima Yue waved her hand, and everyone was pulled up by a force. Is grandmother here? The clan leader just came up 2 days ago. When she heard that young master came to the divine realm, she said that she would send someone to pick you up. Young master, please come with me. Sima Yue and the others followed that person in. Before they went far, they saw Chanshan appear in front of them. Many people ran over, but when they saw that Chanshan was there, they did not approach. Grandmother. Sima Yue bowed to Chanshan. Wu Lingyu followed suit. Greetings, great-grandmother. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao bowed towards Chanshan. Wu Xiaodao's voice was sweet. When she said that, Chanshan's attention was on her. This must be Xiao Dao and Xiao Yao Yao. They've grown so big. Come to grandmother Zeng. Wu Xiaodao obediently ran over and held Chanshan's hand, saying coquettishly, Grandmother Zeng, Xiaodao has finally met you. Previously, Xiaodao had heard a lot of things about grandmother Zeng from his father and mother. He had always wanted to meet grandmother Zeng. Now his wish was finally fulfilled. Grandmother, have you ever thought of Xiaodao? Sima Yue and Wu Qiao's lips twitched. Why didn't they know that she wanted to have a grandmother so much? This guy was really good at coaxing people. However, Chanshan was indeed very happy after hearing this. She patted her hand and said, Grandmother Zeng also missed you very much. I knew grandmother Zeng would miss me. Wu Xiaodao said happily. Hehe, let's go. Grandmother Zeng will take you around the clan. Chanshan said with a smile. Okay. We're also very curious about the Nine Nether clan. Wu Xiaodao quickly replied. You guys can come too. Chanshan said to Sima Yue and the others. You guys came back too suddenly. The clan has to prepare and hold a welcome banquet for you guys tonight. Okay, thank you grandmother. Sima Yue said with a smile. Thus the group went to visit the clan. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao walked in front with Chanshan. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu walked behind them. Chanshan's personality was a bit cold. This was related to the fact that she had always led the Nine Nether clan. However, Wu Xiaodao was a smart guy. He knew how to make her happy. This personality, I really don't know who she takes after. Sima Yue sighed. That's good. Wu Lingyu doted on Wu Xiaodao. No matter what her personality was, he felt that it was very good. You just spoil her. Sima Yue glared at him. You say it like you don't spoil her. Wu Lingyu didn't want to take the blame alone. That's because you spoil her more. I like to spoil my daughter. Who dares to provoke her? Wu Lingyu said domineeringly. With Wu Xiaodao's identity, no one dared to casually touch her. He was willing to give her the capital to be willful. As they walked, Wu Qiao retreated. Chanshan called Sima Yue to the front. The father and son tacitly slowed down their pace and fell behind the three girls in front. What happened? Wu Lingyu asked. Mother is in danger. Wu Qiao told him what happened after they arrived in the divine realm. Mother didn't plan to come to the Chan family so early. I think she wanted to leave me and my sister here and do something dangerous. My sister and I are weak. If we follow her, we will be a burden and distract her. So it's best to let father come. Then you lied to me? Wu Lingyu said with a sullen face. That way you'll come faster. Wu Qiao wasn't afraid of him. Wu Lingyu raised his eyebrows. This little guy was really asking for a beating. In front, Chanshan was lecturing Sima Yue. I've already heard about the Eye of the Earth. You were too careless. You should have been more careful when you knew that everyone was crazy about the Eye of the Earth. How could you let others discover her identity? This will bring you a lot of trouble. In the future, when she walked around the divine realm, no matter what she did, there would be people eyeing her covetously. I know. I was careless this time. Sima Yue admitted. But things have already come to this. Let's take it one step at a time. Grandmother, you don't have to worry about mother. As long as mother is strong enough, those people won't dare to have any ideas about little Seven. Wu Xiaodao defended Sima Yue. My mother is still young. She will be very powerful in the future. You're right. In front of an absolute strong person, even if they have any ideas, they can only give up. Chan Shan went along with her words. Grandmother, is the 9th Netherworld clan doing well? Sima Yue asked. It's all right. The clan is fine, Chan Shan said. It's just that the clan's bloodline is getting weaker and weaker. That's why the 9th Netherworld clan's status is getting lower and lower. Is there no way to activate the clan's bloodline? Sima Yue asked. We've been looking for it, but we haven't found it yet, Chan Shan said. This can't be rushed. There will be a way, Sima Yue replied. The Chan family's decline was different from the Sima family. The Sima family declined due to the weakening of external conditions. As long as they were given enough conditions, they would be able to rise again. That's why she gave them a complete fusion spiritual technique, gave them pill recipes, gave them the imperial beast art, and the method to search for spirits. She gave them contracts with ancient spiritual beasts, and gave them some connections. The Sima family developed very quickly. The Chan family was different. They inherited the 9th Netherworld bloodline. The decline was due to the weakening of the bloodline. It was an internal reason. No matter how powerful she was, she couldn't change the clan's bloodline. You're tuning into the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.